Chapter 250. On the Xingyun Peak, Yu Hongyan pointed the halberd of black flame at Wang Jiannan. His intention was clear. Wang Jiannan's face instantly turned snow-white. This was caused by fear. He was not afraid of Yu Hongyan, but of the Chongyun Crown Prince in front of him. Sure enough, Chongyun Crown Prince turned around expressionlessly and stared at him. "I remember you said it was going well." Wang Jiannan hurriedly said, "Your Highness, please listen to my explanation." Chongyun Crown Prince waved his hand impatiently. "I don't have time for that. Solve the problem now." "Yes, Your Highness." Wang Jiannan heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Chongyun Crown Prince didn't pursue the matter, he believed there was still room for redemption. Glancing at Yu Hongyan, Wang Jiannan calmed himself down and stepped out of the crowd. He pretended to be calm and said, "Hongyan, long time no see. Come, let me see how much progress you've made in Taoism." Yu Hongyan raised his eyebrows. Without any nonsense, he stomped his feet and dashed toward Wang Jiannan like an arrow leaving the bow. Ziyun Ancestor was surprised to see this scene. This girl seems to be the personal disciple of the master of Xianmen Gate, but she's only in the middle stage of foundation establishment. How dare she provoke the cultivators of the Golden Elixir period? Are all the disciples of Xianmen Tianzong so monstrous? Ancestor Qing Wei was silent for a while and said, "Let's wait and see. The master of Xianmen Gate has a disciple named Wang Lin. During the Battle of Shazhou, he defeated all the opponents in the early stage of foundation establishment." Ancestor Qixua's eyes flashed and said, "Xianmen Tianzong's Taoism is extraordinary." When Yu Hongyan had just set up her bier and advanced to the middle stage of foundation establishment, she dared to defeat two opponents in the late stage of foundation establishment alone. At that time, she only cultivated the annihilation real fire method. His current enemy was Wang Jiannan from the Golden Elixir period. Naturally, he could not be mentioned in the same breath as before. However, the Taoist technique that Yu Hongyan cultivated had already become the 8 trigram scripture of the Great Way of the Heavens, which was even more incomparable to the past. But no matter how much she changed, this girl's domineering and fierce fighting style did not change at all. She just pressed forward bravely. At first, Wang Jiannan thought that it would not be difficult for him to subdue Yu Hongyan with his cultivation during the Golden Elixir period, but when Yu Hongyan forcefully broke through 2 of his spells, he immediately knew that he was wrong. Wind-snow erosion. Wang Jiannan expelled the distracting thoughts from his mind and began to treat Yu Hongyan as a real enemy. A wind-snow erosion spell swept up a sky full of wind and snow, with him as the center, enveloping the space within a radius of 1,000 feet. In this space that was enveloped by the snowstorm, the cold magic power would be attached to the wind and attack the enemy. Even if the enemy could block the wind blade attack on the surface, they would be corroded by the cold magic power in the dark. By the time they discovered it, it would be too late. But in the face of the snowstorm, Yu Hongyan did not stop at all. She just strode forward. She was originally wearing a purple robe, but at this moment, the outside suddenly emitted a light, and countless light rays outlined one after another regular hexagons. When these hexagons were combined together, they transformed into a suit of armor that was translucent and crystalline like glass. It seemed to be fragile and seemed like a decorative shelf, yet it revealed an indestructible aura of strength. The Golden Elixir magic tool, ancient jade armor. The surface of the armor shone brightly, and a hexagonal transparent mirror was reflected in the air. This hexagonal mirror stayed in the air and did not have any intention of disappearing. It just stood there in the air. As the light and shadow danced, the number of hexagonal mirrors in the air increased. In the end, they were all neatly lined up. Countless hexagonal mirrors formed a honeycomb shape, forming a complete light wall. The light wall bent and turned into a light cover on the ground, protecting Yu Hongyan and moving along with her. Countless wind and snow bombarded the light cover, but they could only leave ripples on the light cover, and could not break through. While Wang Jiannan was stunned, he saw that Yu Hongyan had already rushed in front of him. She swung the black flame halberd, and like a raging dragon, it fiercely stabbed over. No wonder this girl is so arrogant. So she has a golden elixir period magic tool from the Xian Men sect. Wang Jianan thought, this magic tool of hers has extraordinary defense. It will be very difficult for me to break through it. I am afraid it will be difficult to deal with this girl today. While thinking, Wang Jianan put his hands together and formed a spell. Endless wind and snow surrounded him and kept spinning. When Yu Hongyan's black flame halberd stabbed the spinning wind and snow cover, it was immediately pulled away by the spinning force. Even the power of the stab was diverted to the side. Wang Jianan said, Hongyan, since we parted, you really did not waste your time. I am also very happy to see you. Let's treat this match as a draw. When Lin Feng heard this, he could not help but shake his head and laugh, you are really sneaky. Both sides had only exchanged 1 or 2 moves, and no one was at a disadvantage. Now that Wang Jianan said it was a draw, no one would laugh at him for being afraid of Yu Hongyan. They would only think that he was relying on his identity as a golden elixir period cultivator and was not willing to really fight with Yu Hongyan. Thinking back to what he said, the nature of the fight was like a senior giving advice to a junior. How could Yu Hongyan not hear the trick in this? She sneered, and her red eyebrows were threatening. She did not answer and suddenly swung the black flame halberd horizontally. An extremely violent force immediately spread out. In the blink of an eye, thousands of fierce attacks landed on the spinning wind and snow around Wang Jianan. This kind of attack power is not something an ordinary middle-stage foundation establishment cultivator can have. What kind of Dao technique did this girl learn in Xianmen Tianzong? Wang Jianan was suppressed and beaten by Yu Hongyan like this. It would be a lie to say that he did not feel sullen. However, he was not worried that Yu Hongyan would be able to break through his defense. This is the wind and snow rotation spell. The closer it is to the center, the faster the rotation of the wind and snow, and the stronger the defense. You cannot break it. Under Yu Hongyan's attack, the radius of the wind and snow rotation around Wang Jianan kept shrinking. It looked like she was retreating step by step. However, everyone present had good eyesight. They could all see that Wang Jianan's defense of the wind and snow rotation spell was getting stronger and stronger. On the contrary, Yu Hongyan's attack was showing signs of weakening. Ancestor Crimson Afterglow sighed. To be able to force a golden elixir period cultivator to defend with all his strength, it's not easy for her to do this. Before he finished speaking, Ancestor Crimson Afterglow suddenly revealed a shocked expression. This is a ball of black flames condensed at the tip of Yu Hongyan's black flame halberd. This ball of black flames faintly emitted a red light, forming a huge flaming storm. It spun towards the body of the spear and finally gathered at the tip of the spear. This point was extremely heavy, so heavy that the space it was in seemed to be collapsing towards this point. Wang Jianan's expression changed slightly. Looking at her previous martial path, she should have learned from Zhang Lai's God Spear of Destruction. When the God Spear of Destruction is cultivated to its peak, the spinning flaming storm at the tip of the spear can produce a huge suction force. It can suck the opponent in and make them unable to retreat. I know this. Wang Jianan looked at the scene in front of her in shock. But that suction force, my magic power is stronger than hers. She can't suck me in. But in this situation, she can actually cause the space to collapse and create a black hole-like devouring space. This is definitely not something that the God Spear of Destruction can do. What kind of martial path is this? Everyone's attention was attracted to this move by Yu Hongyan. Even if the target wasn't them, it still gave these people the illusion that they were going to be sucked into the vortex of the black flames even though they knew that they were going to die. They knew that they were going to die, but they were going to be sucked into the vortex of the black flames and destroyed. After cultivating the 8 trigrams Universal Great Way, Yu Hongyan had comprehended and created this martial path mystique. Void-shattering spear. Xiao Yan nodded slowly at this scene. fourth junior sister is indeed talented in martial arts to be able to understand some of the mysteries of space in the Foundation establishment realm. Even Crown Prince Chongyun was shocked. The way he looked at Yu Hongyan became more aggressive and intimidating. Before Wang Jiannan could react, Yu Hongyan's void-shattering spear had already landed on his wind-snow spiral. There was no violent collision. Wang Jiannan's wind-snow was all sucked into the collapsed space at the tip of Yu Hongyan's spear. However, when such a scene fell into the eyes of the crowd, they felt boundless terror. Wang Jiannan wanted to retreat in shock, but he was already sucked in by the void-shattering spear. "Bitch, how dare you!" In a moment of desperation, Wang Jiannan could no longer hold back. The golden elixir vibrated crazily. Her magic power exploded and formed a snow-white pill in the air. In the next moment, the snow-white pill exploded and thousands of snowflakes flew in all directions. Even after using the wind-snow explosion, Wang Jiannan did not dare to be careless. He threw out a talisman. It was a yuanying purple talisman. It turned into a bolt of lightning and struck towards Yu Hongyan. Wang Jiannan threw all distracting thoughts to the back of his head. He no longer cared that Yu Hongyan was Crown Prince Chongyun's target. Without mercy, he used all the power he had to fight Yu Hongyan with all his might. A spell cast by a golden elixir period cultivator with all his might was powerful. What was more terrifying was the yuanying purple talisman. It was equivalent to a yuanying stage cultivator's full power attack. Using it to attack a Foundation establishment stage cultivator was like using an atomic bomb to hit a tank. Both parties were not on the same level. The terrifying thunder clouds had already shrouded above Yu Hongyan's head. No matter how strong the void destruction spear was, it could not change the fact that Yu Hongyan was in the middle stage of Foundation establishment. The full power attack of a yuanying stage cultivator could directly obliterate the void destruction spear. Ziyun ancestor and Qixia ancestor looked at each other and shook their heads at the same time. Yu Hongyan was Lin Feng's personal disciple. Letting her die on the cloud-traversing peak like this, even if it was because she overestimated herself and took the initiative to challenge, the Celeritas sword sect would not be able to explain to Lin Feng. Qixia ancestor broke through the void and prepared to take this move for Yu Hongyan. "No hurry." Qing Wei ancestor on the side suddenly said, her own master is not worried. Ziyun ancestor and Qixia ancestor were both stunned. Only then did they remember that Lin Feng was sitting calmly in the cave abode. He is not worried. Ziyun ancestor frowned slightly, could it be? Chapter 251. In the face of Wang Jiannan's blizzard explosion and his trump card, the yuanying purple amulet, Yu Hongyan only had one response. Keep going. As Yu Hongyan continued to charge forward with the Void Destroyer spear, she flipped her palm and two items flew into the air. One of them was a shield. It was not big, but it exuded an indestructible and heavy aura. The shield was a perfect circle, and the surface of the shield was covered with runes that looked like rivers. Each river was connected to each other, as if it was flowing non-stop. It was impossible to tell where the source was and where the end was. It seemed endless. This was Kang Nanhua's immemorial shield. He had given one to Xiao Yan and the rest, and Yu Hongyan had one as well. Although it was the immemorial shield that Kang Nanhua created in the later stages of the Golden Elixir, it was more than enough to block Wang Jiannan's spell. The ferocious blizzard blast struck the Eternal River Primordial Shield, but the Eternal River Primordial Shield didn't even shake. This Eternal River Immemorial Shield could even block an attack from a nascent soul stage cultivator once. However, Yu Hongyan clearly did not intend to use up the shield just like that. Facing Wang Jiannan's yuanying purple amulet, Yu Hongyan responded with the same yuanying purple amulet. This purple amulet manifested into a towering green mountain in the sky, and forcefully withstood the thunderbolt attack from Wang Jiannan's purple amulet. Although the Green Mountain was destroyed, the power of the thunderbolt was completely exhausted. Wang Jiannan's eyes widened as he watched Yu Hongyan break through all obstacles, and the Void Destroyer spear was right in front of him. Your Highness, save me! Wang Jiannan screamed. Crown Prince Chongyun frowned. Although he did not like Wang Jiannan, she was still his servant. He would not be able to face her death. Thinking of this, Chongyun Crown Prince raised his hand slightly and was about to block Yu Hongyan's attack. Seeing this, Xiao Yan smiled silently. Suddenly, two bright flames lit up in his eyes. The pressure from the two true fires momentarily distracted the Crown Prince. With Xiao Yan's interruption, Chongyun Crown Prince couldn't save Wang Jiannan in time. The power of Yu Hongyan's void-shattering god spear burst forth, directly tearing Wang Jiannan's body into pieces. A mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator killed an early-stage golden elixir cultivator. Yu Hongyan became famous after this battle. Ancestor Zi Yun, who was watching the battle, sighed. Xiao Yan, come back. Originally Violet Cloud Ancestor did not think that Xiao Yan and the rest had the guts to kill Celerita's sword sect disciples on the cloud-traversing peak. But now seeing that they completely did not take Crown Prince Chongyun's face seriously, Violet Cloud Ancestor was also somewhat worried. Although there was still a 99% chance that Xiao Budian would not dare to kill Xiao Yan, but Violet Cloud Ancestor did not dare to take that 1% risk. Xiao Yan was the Celerita's sword sect's top core disciple during the Golden Elixir period. The Celerita's sword sect could not afford to pay the price of his death. Fellow Shi's abilities are amazing. I have lost. Xiao Yan sighed. Although he could still hold on, he knew that if he continued to persevere, he would still be defeated by Xiao Budian in the end. Xiao Yan asked himself if he fought with his life on the line, he might be able to heavily injure Xiao Budian, or even drag Xiao Budian down with him. But this kind of result was obviously not necessary. So he simply admitted defeat. Right now he did not dare to call Xiao Budian junior brother anymore. Hearing what was said, Xiao Budian laughed and stopped his attack. He also did not disperse the power of wind and lightning around his body. His 10-meter-tall body stood on the ground and looked disdainfully at the crowd of Celerita's sword sect disciples. Who else wants to spar with my Xianmen Tianzong disciple? The remaining Celerita's sword sect disciples looked at each other in dismay. None of them said anything. Their strongest was only on par with Xiao Yan in strength. They did not have the confidence to beat Xiao Budian. At this time Crown Prince Chongyun, who was at the side, said coldly, "Heh, Xianmen Tianzong, truly domineering." He did not look at Xiao Budian. His cold gaze fell on Xiao Yan and Yu Hongyan. He slowly said, "You clearly know that Wang Jiannan is my attendant and you still dare to kill him. You guys are very good." A berserk and cold aura pervaded the air, immediately pressuring Yu Hongyan to the point of letting out a muffled groan. The red-haired girl only felt that she was like a small boat in a stormy sea, in danger of capsizing at any time. But she still straightened her back and faced the pressure of Crown Prince Chongyun without backing down a single step. Xiao Yan walked in front of Yu Hongyan and helped her block the pressure of Crown Prince Chongyun's aura. He calmly said, "Yu Hongyan is my junior sister. If she has any problems, no matter right or wrong, my master will deal with it. If you have any dissatisfaction, I will take it on her behalf." Crown Prince Chongyun smiled coldly. "Yesterday, if it wasn't for your master, I would have already strangled you to death." Xiao Yan smiled coldly. "I'm afraid that you don't have that ability." "I'll just try." Crown Prince Chongyun's expression suddenly calmed down. It was as if a roaring sea had instantly become calm. But in Xiao Yan's heart, the highest level of alarm was sounded. In the next moment, Crown Prince Chongyun suddenly moved. With one step, he directly broke through the void and arrived in front of Xiao Yan. He extended his hand and grabbed towards him. Xiao Yan only felt that the sky in front of him suddenly darkened. The sunlight had all disappeared and only darkness remained. Crown Prince Chongyun's 5 fingers covered the sky and the sun. In the cave, Lin Feng saw this scene and nodded. No matter how unreliable his personality is, at least his cultivation level is worthy of his title as the Crown Prince of the Qin Kingdom. Different from the mortal world, no matter if it was the Grand Qin dynasty or the Grand Zhou dynasty, since they were able to establish an imperial rule in the world of cultivators, the imperial families of these dynasties would surely have grasped the best techniques and cultivation resources. They might even be above the Celeritas sword sect, Blaze sword sect, Wind god sect and other major sections. Compared to the three sacred lands, they were only slightly weaker. In a sense, the royal family of the Qin kingdom was a cultivator family that was even stronger than the four great clans of the Qin kingdom. As the crown prince of the Qin kingdom, the techniques that Crown Prince Chongyun cultivated were naturally the best. In terms of combat strength, he far surpassed cultivators of the same level. Challenging those of a higher level was not a problem at all. Even the middle-stage Yuanying ancestor Zi Yun and Qi Xia ancestor had to be careful when facing Crown Prince Chongyun. Sect Master Lin's disciples are too flamboyant. At this time, a voice suddenly sounded in Lin Feng's ear. You need to know the principle that the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. An old man wearing a star robe suddenly appeared in Lin Feng's cave with a smile on his face. It was Star Do Dao Master. Lin Feng's face was calm and he said calmly, to be destroyed by the wind, it only means that the tree itself is not strong enough. My disciple does not need to trouble Star Do Dao Master. Then let us wait and see. Star Dipper Dao Master said with a smile, watching a few juniors fight makes my hands a little itchy. Since Sword Master Flowing Light is the host, I don't want to trouble him, so I'll play with Sect Master Lin. I hope Sect Master Lin will not decline. Star Do Dao Master said as he paced in Lin Feng's cave. His seemingly casual steps fell into the eyes of Lin Feng, but he immediately saw that it was extraordinary. The starlight was extinguished several times, and the scene in front of Lin Feng immediately changed. The original scenery disappeared, and even Star Do Dao Master himself was gone. What appeared in front of Lin Feng was a magnificent endless sea of stars. In the dark universe, countless stars were flashing. Looking from afar, the stars in the universe were all tiny specks of light. These specks of light were constantly moving along different trajectories, but they were also obeying some sort of strange rules. The stars moved, the sea flowed, and thousands of stars followed a fixed track, constantly changing their positions. Is it the gang step fighting? Lin Feng knew that Star Do Dao Master had set up a huge star heaven formation in just a few steps. Star Do Dao Master did not disappear, but his whole body was integrated with the star heaven formation. Lin Feng fell into his formation, which was equivalent to being trapped inside, unable to interfere with the battle between Xiao Yan and Crown Prince Chongyun outside. This old man's star sea formation, please give me some advice, Sect Master Lin. In the endless universe of starry sky, the voice of Star Do Dao Master came from all directions, constantly echoing in the empty space. In the face of a primordial soul cultivator, Lin Feng's heart was a little excited. He stepped forward in the sea of stars, with a casual and relaxed expression. Lin Feng took a few steps and found that as he moved, the trajectory of thousands of stars in the dark universe also changed. Between the intertwining starlight in front of him, he saw thousands of flashes of light falling on his head. Lin Feng flicked his fingers, and the magical power of shattering heaven and earth was launched, destroying the meteor shower that hit him in a flash. The universe space formed by Star Do Dao Master's star sea formation was also shattered by Lin Feng's finger, breaking a big hole. Chaos emerged, and countless violent earth, water, fire, and wind swept the entire starry sky, like the end of the universe, a world catastrophe. Star Do Dao Master sighed, Sect Master Lin, what a domineering method. As he spoke, the stars in the universe suddenly changed, and the stars kept moving. Between the changes of the trajectory, it was as if the world was being reshaped, and it actually stabilized the universe that was about to collapse. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. A primordial soul cultivator is really extraordinary. This Star Do Dao Master had not yet used his most powerful means. When a cultivator achieved the primordial soul, he would first use his own Yuanying as the core, and heaven and earth as the body to refine his own primordial soul incarnation. Once the primordial soul incarnation was formed, he would be immortal, travel between heaven and earth, and live freely in the world. At the same time, the primordial soul incarnation was also the real strength of a powerful primordial soul cultivator. At this moment, Star Do Dao Master was only using his own mana to set up the star sea formation, and had not really manifested his own primordial soul incarnation. He also did not want to completely fall out with Lin Feng. A primordial soul cultivator had an unlimited lifespan, but there was still the possibility of being suppressed and killed by external forces. Unless it was a last resort, he would never fight to the death with others. It was not easy to cultivate immortality, so he naturally wanted to enjoy it, and would not easily risk his life. Fighting with Lin Feng was to prevent Lin Feng from intervening in the battle between Crown Prince Chongyun and Xiao Yan, and to test Lin Feng's true cultivation. In the eyes of the world, Lin Feng's true strength had always been a mystery. Star Do Dao Master restabilized the starry sky universe evolved by the star sea formation, and continued to command the stars to fall to bombard Lin Feng, to force Lin Feng to use his means. Lin Feng had already understood Star Do Dao Master's intention. He smiled, and did not use his own mana to fight back, but took out something. A huge black umbrella. Chapter 252. Lin Feng took out a big black umbrella, which was a special reward given by the system after he completed the main task of opening the mountain gate. This reward was a bit special. It could play a miraculous effect when used at the right time, but it could be counterproductive when used at the wrong time. Lin Feng now held up the big black umbrella and leisurely strolled forward in the star sea formation of Dao Master Xing Do, as if he was sightseeing. Dao Master Xing Do could not see through the intention of Lin Feng's move. He stared at the big black umbrella above Lin Feng's head for a long time, but still could not see through the mystery. Since he could not figure it out, Dao Master Xing Do stopped thinking about it. With a thought, another wave of destructive meteor shower fell on Lin Feng's head. Under the umbrella, Lin Feng smiled leisurely and completely ignored it. But Dao Master Xing Do's eyes suddenly widened. Because he saw that when the rainstorm meteors transformed by his Dharma power fell on the surface of the big black umbrella above Lin Feng's head, they seemed to turn into water droplets and all bounced around, completely unable to penetrate the surface of the black umbrella. Dao Master Xing Do's eyes narrowed. With a thought, countless starlight suddenly flew together from the star sea under Lin Feng's feet toward the soles of Lin Feng's feet. But when these starlight approached Lin Feng's body, the space seemed to be distorted strangely. The starlight still fell on the top of the black umbrella like raindrops, unable to hurt Lin Feng at all. This time Dao Master Xing Do was really shocked. The starry universe derived from the star sea formation was equivalent to an independent space created by him. Here, all the laws of space should be under his control. But when Lin Feng was shrouded by the black umbrella, no matter from which direction Dao Master Xing Do launched an attack, it would eventually be distorted by the trajectory of the space and all fell on the surface of the black umbrella above Lin Feng's head. Dao Master Xing Do's competitive spirit was also aroused. I don't believe that I can't break the defense of your black umbrella. Under his control, the heavenly stars formation changed again. Above the north pole of central heaven, 7 dazzling stars arranged in the shape of a handle, gathered infinite starlight, turned into a huge beam of light, and blasted at the black umbrella above Lin Feng's head. But in the end it was useless. Lin Feng held up the black umbrella like he was blocking the sun, blocking the beam of light outside, unable to harm Lin Feng at all. Star Dipper Dao Master was not discouraged. Under the command of the incantation, the starry sky changed again. The 9 stars aligned, and a powerful force that distorted space twisted Lin Feng and the black umbrella. But it was still useless, the space around Lin Feng had already twisted into a ball, completely unable to see its original appearance, even light could not pass through smoothly, but Lin Feng himself was still holding the black umbrella, leisurely walking forward. But it was still useless. The void around Lin Feng had been twisted into a ball, completely unable to see its original appearance, and even light could not pass through smoothly. But Lin Feng himself was still holding the black umbrella, walking leisurely. But the space was twisted again, and the huge cosmic galaxy seemed to turn into a small stream of water, falling on the top of the black umbrella, leaving a mark on the umbrella, and tilting down along the edge of the black umbrella, still unable to do anything to Lin Feng under the umbrella. Dao Master Xing Do stared at the black umbrella above Lin Feng's head, and after a long while, squeezed out a few words from his teeth, invincible. Lin Feng held the black umbrella and walked calmly. He saw all the movements of Dao Master Xing Do. He smiled slightly and looked up at the big black umbrella above his head, as if covering the whole sky. Under the umbrella, there was another world. No matter how the outside world was blown by wind and rain, he held up an umbrella, not a drop of water. No matter how the outside world was destroyed, he held up an umbrella, unmoved. One umbrella covered the sky, invincible until eternity, no matter how the outside world was blown by wind and rain, or the world was destroyed. This umbrella was called the sky-covering umbrella. Lin Feng held the sky-covering umbrella and walked forward unimpeded all the way. After a few steps, the world of the sea of stars in front of him began to disappear. The dark universe and the twinkling stars were all gone, and the scene was restored to the appearance of Xingyan Peak. Lin Feng went out of the cave residence, and Tiny Tot and Yu Hongyan both came up to greet him. "Greetings, Master. You did a good job." Lin Feng nodded. Tiny Tot looked at the sky-covering umbrella above Lin Feng's head curiously. "Master, why do you have an umbrella on your head?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "This umbrella is not for my own use, but for others." Tiny Tot and others were all confused. They followed Lin Feng out of the cave residence. Hearing this, Dao Master Xing Do, whose face was slightly gloomy, paused slightly and looked at the sky-covering umbrella above Lin Feng's head with a deeper look. If the star sea formation was his test for Lin Feng, then the sky-covering umbrella in front of him was Lin Feng's return. "If I walk out of your formation, can you break my umbrella?" Dao Master Xing Do hesitated for a long time, but still could not make up his mind to make a move. Once the incarnation of the primordial spirit appeared, it would be a fight to the death. There was no irreconcilable hatred between him and Lin Feng, so it was not worth a fight to the death. Swordsman Flowing Light appeared silently beside him, staring at Lin Feng's sky-covering umbrella, his eyes like two unsheathed swords. "I want to try and see if my sword can break his umbrella," Swordsman Flowing Light said silently. Dao Master Xing Do replied noncommittally, "You are a sword cultivator, it's not surprising that you have such an idea." After a moment of silence, Swordsman Flowing Light shook his head regretfully and said, "Forget it, let's find a chance later." "What did Wu Qingru wish for you to make you so worried?" Dao Master Xing Do asked curiously. Swordsman Flowing Light said after a moment of silence, "You will know in the future." Dao Master Xing Do did not care and nodded without saying anything. Although Lin Feng could not know the content of the conversation between the two primordial spirit experts, he could clearly feel the sword essence of Swordsman Flowing Light. Feeling that Swordsman Flowing Light finally chose to give up like Dao Master Xing Do, Lin Feng secretly curled his lips and was a little disappointed. He was not pretending, he really hoped that the two primordial spirit experts, no matter who, would try the defense power of the sky-covering umbrella. Because under the cover of the sky-covering umbrella, Lin Feng's own safety was as stable as Mount Tai, but he could not attack others. The sky-covering umbrella's isolation of power was two-way. But its defense power was absolutely satisfactory. It really could be said to be indestructible and invincible. Lin Feng was at least 80% sure that if Swordsman Flowing Light or Dao Master Xing Do really attacked the sky-covering umbrella with all their strength, the final result would be a rebuff, and even their heads would be broken. But both of them resisted the impulse to attack. Although Lin Feng felt a little regretful, he quickly put this negative emotion behind him and turned his attention to the battle in front of him. The battle between Xiao Yan and Crown Prince Chongyun had also reached its climax. The Mirror of Heaven and Earth, a Yuanying stage magic weapon given to Xiao Yan, had already been used in the battle. The mirror of heaven and earth was in charge of defense, the two true fires were in charge of attack, and with the help of the black cloud flag, Xiao Yan had used all his skills to fight against Crown Prince Chongyun. Crown Prince Chongyun similarly went all out, a dragon-shaped silhouette flashing with golden light kept circling above his head, fighting with Xiao Yan. As the Crown Prince of the Qin Kingdom, he even had magic weapons, not to mention Yuanying stage magic weapons. His cultivation was also top-notch, and his early Yuanying stage magic weapon against Xiao Yan's early golden elixir stage, immediately suppressing Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's expression was excited. Other than sparring with his own senior and junior brothers, he had not fought to his heart's content in a long time. Even the battle with true monarch Typhoon outside Sand Continent City was not as satisfying as fighting with Crown Prince Chongyun. Under the pressure of Crown Prince Chongyun, Xiao Yan squeezed out all his potential, and had already broken through his own limits. Come, let's fight to our heart's content. Two balls of fire, one gold and one purple, flashed in Xiao Yan's eyes. He put his palms together in front of his chest, and the true fire of the sun and the true fire of the nether began to merge. The scene from a few days ago at Yujing Mountain replayed itself. The terrifying energy wave shook the entire Xingyun Peak, and the Cellerita's Sword Sex Protective Formation, the Cloudy Cellerita's Sword Formation, was activated once again, and the reaction was even greater than when Xiao Budian was fighting. Even Cellerita's Sword Lord and Star Do Dao Lord were moved. He wants to merge the two true fires. That's crazy. Madman. Crown Prince Chongyun, who was facing Xiao Yan, felt the destructive power even more clearly. Xiao Yan's 8 trigrams Great Way Scripture's magic power was activated to the extreme, and his 10 fingers moved agilely like picking leaves and flowers. One after another, he injected spells into the two true fires that were merging. Lin Feng's teachings from before rang in his ears again. The true fire of the sun is originally stable, but after coming into contact with the enemy, it will continuously explode. During the merging, you must first control it and keep it stable. The nether evil flame is always burning, and it is incomparably overbearing. Don't try to suppress its characteristics, but guide it well, and ensure that the intensity of its burning is under your control. No matter how crazy, no matter how powerful the power, you must control it yourself. Man controls the fire, and not the fire controls the man. Xiao Yan turned his head, and saw Lin Feng smiling at him under the umbrella. Master, I did it. Xiao Yan took a deep breath, and suddenly put his palms together. The raging flames actually gradually calmed down, and under everyone's shocked gaze, it condensed into a purple gold lotus the size of Xiao Yan's palm. The purple gold lotus formed, and Xiao Yan threw it towards Crown Prince Chongyun without hesitation. Boom! Amidst the deafening explosion, everyone's vision was filled with a purple gold fire, and they could no longer see anything else. In the next moment, boundless waves of fire shot up into the sky, as if burning a hole in the entire heaven and earth. The golden clouds that had been covering the Xingyun Peak for tens of millions of years directly lost a large piece, and were completely vaporized by the monstrous fire, leaving no trace. Zhao Yan and the other Cellerita's Sword sect disciples of the Golden Elixir period were all dumbfounded, and couldn't help but feel fear in their hearts. Just now, we actually wanted to challenge such a monster? Ziyun ancestor and the other Yuanying ancestors all had solemn expressions. Ziyun and Qixia, the two Yuanying middle-stage ancestors, were fine, and they had the ability to survive under this move from Xiao Yan, but they would also end up with serious injuries. Qing Wei ancestor and the other Yuanying early-stage cultivators had a much worse expression, because they suddenly discovered that facing this move of Xiao Yan's true fire alone, they were actually in danger of dying. Even on the side of Xianmen Tianzong, who were in the same camp as Xiao Yan, a group of people were also shocked speechless. They swallowed their saliva, and secretly rejoiced that at that time on Yujing Mountain, they didn't go against Xiao Yan head-on, otherwise it was very likely that she would be beaten to squat in the ring again. Flowing Light Sword Venerable and Star Dipper Dao Venerable's face also slightly darkened, the cultivation base of the early Golden Elixir period. Their gazes all looked towards Lin Feng, and saw that Lin Feng's expression was indifferent with some gratification, and he was slightly nodding. Seeing this scene, the hearts of the two primordial spirits sank straight. Disciple is like this, what will master do? After a long time, the fire wave finally dissipated, revealing a battered and exhausted figure, letting out a shrill howl like a wolf howling at the moon. Chapter 253. The aftershock of Xiao Yan's attack only subsided after a long while. A figure emerged from the rolling fire waves. It was the Crown Prince of Chongyun. At this moment, he was like an injured lone wolf, ferocious like never before. Although his expression was incomparably disheveled, he didn't suffer any injuries. It was just that his face was covered in dirt, and his apricot yellow robe with 4 dragons was already in tatters. However, everyone present could tell that his robe was a powerful Yuanying stage magical item that was good for both offense and defense. It was this robe that helped him withstand Xiao Yan's devastating attack. But now, the robe was completely destroyed and lost its spirituality. It was impossible to repair it even if he wanted to. A Yuanying stage magical item was completely destroyed by Xiao Yan's attack. The Crown Prince stared at Xiao Yan fiercely. Without saying a word, he waved his hand. Suddenly, a dark purple sword ray flew into the air. As soon as the dark purple sword light appeared, everyone's expression changed slightly. The power that seemed to tear the sky apart was something that only a magical item could have. Although he did not want to admit it, the Crown Prince felt threatened by Xiao Yan, who was a realm lower than him. Therefore, he immediately took out his magical item, the Evil Shadow Sword. The purplish-black sword light suddenly spread out in the sky, as if a celestial maiden scattering flowers, enveloping the entire sky. The sword light that filled the sky transformed into a huge barrier, enveloping Xiao Yan and Crown Prince Chongyun inside. A nascent soul stage fighting against an Aurus core stage and even using a magic treasure, it seems like an incomparably laughable thing, but no one present felt that Crown Prince Chongyun was making a big fuss over a minor issue. Whenever they thought of the power of Xiao Yan's attack just now, everyone felt a lingering fear in their hearts. However, Lin Feng could not allow the Crown Prince to bully his disciple like this. Not to mention that Xiao Yan had fallen into a low state after that attack. Even if he was at his peak, he would not be able to survive the threat of a magical item. After all, Xiao Yan was only at the early stage of the Golden Elixir stage. Holding the bulwark umbrella, Lin Feng lightly glanced at Venerable Streamlight and Venerable Star Dipper. With a light flick of his finger, a crimson flame drilled into the space sealed by Crown Prince Chongyun's evil shadow sword. Dao Master Xing Do was silent. Every dog has its day. Previously, he was the one who stopped Lin Feng from interfering in the battle between Xiao Yan and Crown Prince Chongyun. Now, the tables had turned. He was the one who feared Lin Feng's existence and did not dare to interfere in the battle. What caught his and flowing light sword Venerable's attention was that the crimson flame that Lin Feng had flicked had directly penetrated the bounded domain of the evil shadow sword. Although the evil shadow sword was a sword weapon, its power was mainly reflected in killing attacks. Setting up a bounded domain to isolate space was not its forte. However, the fact that the crimson flame had been penetrated so easily showed that the crimson flame was extraordinary. They believed that with Lin Feng's current status and cultivation, he would not directly attack the Crown Prince and join forces with his disciple to fight the Crown Prince. After carefully sensing the crimson flame, the two primordial soul realm cultivators immediately found that there was a tyrannical and overbearing power hidden in the flame. It was faintly emitting the majesty of the Dragon Clan. The earth-shattering power fluctuation could only be possessed by a primordial soul magic treasure. The fiery light drilled into the evil shadow sword light's barrier space and quickly turned into a set of blazing battle armor. The overbearing power spread out, causing the entire barrier space to show signs of collapsing. This set of battle armor was the Flame Dragon Sky armor that Lin Feng had forged. Originally, the Flame Dragon Sky armor was Lin Feng's God of War doppelganger. The god of war doppelganger and the armor would form the complete flame dragon sky armor. However, Lin Feng did not send the armor in to end the battle himself. Therefore, under the control of his mind, the god of war doppelganger quickly shrunk and drilled directly into the red flame demon eye at the chest of the armor. The flame dragon sky armor let out a dragon roar that shook the heavens before it directly covered Xiao Yan's body. The size of the battle armor automatically changed to fit Xiao Yan's body. The helmet that looked like a dragon head covered Xiao Yan's face, revealing only a pair of eyes. Flames danced in his eyes, one golden and one purple, filled with the power of disaster. As it was his first time controlling the true fire, it was inevitable that he was not familiar with it. Not only was Xiao Yan's transcendence energy completely depleted, but his spirit also suffered a certain degree of backlash, causing him to have a splitting headache. However, with the flame dragon sky armor on him, the powerful transcendence energy instantly revitalized Xiao Yan's true fire golden elixir. His mental state was also unprecedentedly clear. He let out a long roar that sounded like a dragon roaring in the nine heavens. With a thought, his transcendence energy had already merged with the Dharma treasure. Boom! A huge pair of flaming wings spread out from the back of the armor. This pair of flaming wings was also purple and gold, formed by the nether evil flame and the sun true fire respectively. However, it was unprecedentedly powerful. Each wing was more than 100 feet long, and when both wings were spread out, they covered the sky. The space enchantment created by the evil shadow sword light was directly destroyed. Crown Prince Chongyun's expression was solemn. With a sword gesture, the broken evil shadow sword light suddenly transformed into endless sword shadows. Every single purplish-black sword image passed through space, chopping towards Xiao Yan. Thousands upon thousands of uncountable sword images interweaved together, toppling mountains and overturning the seas, continuous and unending, directly slicing the space within a radius of several miles until it shattered into pieces. When Zhao Yan and the rest of the Celeritas sword sect disciples saw this scene, their faces all changed. Crown Prince Chongyun drove the magic weapon evil shadow sword to attack, and every sword image that was emitted was even stronger than when Zhao Yan fought with Xiao Budian, using all his strength to activate the flowing cloud sword's strongest attack technique, Cloud Galloping Lightning Fast. Who can compete with me? This attack was equivalent to 10 million Zhao Yans launching an all-out attack together. Facing this sword, Xiao Yan also sighed in his heart, the power of a Dharma treasure is indeed earth-shattering. However, he was not afraid because he was wearing Lin Feng's flame dragon sky armor. You are not the only one who has a Dharma treasure. Xiao Yan's arms that were covered in armor stretched out horizontally. His left and right arm guards suddenly burned with raging flames. On one side was the nether evil flame and the other was the sun true fire. Under the effect of the flame dragon heaven armor's divine power, the raging flames on Xiao Yan's arms extended together, turning into two incomparably huge dragon claws, formed by two great true flames, blazing dragon claws. Xiao Yan stretched out horizontally and the two huge true fire dragon claws in front of his chest split apart. The violent power seemed like it was going to split the heaven and earth, directly destroying the evil shadow sword shadows that filled the sky. It was like a person grabbing a rag and tearing it in half from the middle. Seeing this scene, Crown Prince Chongyun's face was unprecedentedly solemn. He made a sword gesture with his finger and a black-purple sword light stopped in the air in front of him, revealing its original form. It was a simple but evil long sword. The tip of the sword was pointed at Xiao Yan. The evil shadow sword's blade was like a black shadow, swaying in the air as if it did not have a physical body. However, the sharpness of the sword made everyone present feel its murderous and bloodthirsty aura. Xiao Yan coldly looked at Crown Prince Chongyun and the evil shadow sword, completely fearless. The leaves on the armor on his body shook non-stop as if they were alive. One after another, clouds of the dragon race's unique great might auspicious clouds appeared beside him, unceremoniously confronting Crown Prince Chongyun. At this moment, Lin Feng, swordsman Flowing Light, and Dao Master Xing Do were all startled and looked into the distant sky. A crack suddenly split open in the horizon and an old man in linen robes slowly walked out from within. This old man stood in the air and did not continue moving forward. He first cupped his hands towards Lin Feng and the other two. "Greetings, sect leader Lin, swordsman Flowing Light, and Dao master Xing Do." He bowed to each of them and then to Crown Prince Chongyun, who was facing off against Xiao Yan. "Greetings, Crown Prince Chongyun." Crown Prince Chongyun did not turn his head. His eyes were still fixed on Xiao Yan. He said impatiently, "What are you doing here, Huang Jiugong?" The cloth-clothed old man, Huang Jiugong, calmly said, "Minister Wu has received news that His Majesty seems to have decided on a candidate for the Crown Prince's concubine. I have come under Minister Wu's orders to leak some news to His Highness." Crown Prince Chongyun's expression changed. He did not even care about Xiao Yan and turned around to look at Huang Jiugong. Huang Jiugong's expression was respectful, but he was not afraid of Crown Prince Chongyun's wolf-like eyes. The old man's eyes were calm as usual. The entire Xingyun Peak was silent. Everyone held their breath and focused on Crown Prince Chongyun and Huang Jiugong in the sky. Lin Feng had a playful smile on his face. Needless to say, this Huang Jiugong was Prime Minister Wu Qingrou's man. Although no one made it clear, most of the people involved knew that Crown Prince Chongyun's visit to Xingyun Peak was actually because of Celerita's sword sex proposal to marry Murong Yenran. The reason why he and Xiao Yan were at loggerheads with each other was largely because of Murong Yenran. Huang Jiugong's action, no, Wu Qingrou's action, was no different than giving Crown Prince Chongyun a loud slap in the face in front of Lin Feng, Celerita's sword master, and the others. The conflict between the Prime Minister and the heir to the throne was completely out in the open. What is Wu Qingrou trying to do? Lin Feng looked at Crown Prince Chongyun with interest. Could it be that Shi Chongyun's position as Crown Prince is really unstable? Crown Prince Chongyun took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Who is it?" Huang Jiugong said a name. It was not Murong nor Yenran. A faint smile appeared on Crown Prince Chongyun's face and he said, Wu Qingru, hee hee. Let's go." He suddenly let out a loud roar and had already activated the evil shadow sword. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Huang Jiugong sighed and hurriedly followed. Crown Prince Chongyun's servants also hurriedly left behind him. Xiao Yan looked at the direction where Crown Prince Chongyun disappeared. His wolf-like voice faintly rang in his ears, "You're Xiao Yan, right? I admit that you're someone. But what happened today is just the beginning. I want to see if the Profound Gates sect master can protect you forever." Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows and did not say anything. He only smiled coldly. He knew that he and this crown prince of the Qin dynasty would eventually have a battle. He landed on the ground and the flame dragon heavenly armor disappeared. Just as he was about to report his victory to Lin Feng, he suddenly felt something and looked to the other side. There, a girl in white was slowly walking over. It was Murong Yenran. Murong Yenran came in front of Flowing Light Sword Venerable and bowed down without saying a word. Flowing Light Sword Venerable was expressionless as he said slowly, "Forget it. There will be a battle eventually. It doesn't matter if it's early or late. Yenran has let down my sect. Thank you for your magnanimity, sect master." Murong Yenran stood up and looked at Xiao Yan calmly. "Flowing Light Sword Venerable, Murong family, Murong Yenran. Please give me some pointers, senior brother Xiao." Chapter 254. Murong Yenran dared to accept the challenge, not because she had found a way to defeat the enemy, but because it was useless to keep delaying. It was better to accept the challenge and end it as soon as possible. So, this was a duel that had ended before it started. Murong Yenran, on the other hand, didn't slack off and instead went all out right from the start. It was a pity that the current her and Xiao Yan really weren't on the same level. She didn't need to use the Flame Dragon Sky Armor, the Evil Bright Overlord Sword, the Two True Fires, the Mirror of Heaven and Earth, or even the Black Cloud Flag. Even though he had fought a fierce battle with Crown Prince Chongyun, Xiao Yan could still defeat Murong Yenran with his supernatural power and divine sense. All the disciples of the Light Sword School turned their faces away. They couldn't bear to look at the result of the battle. The blood on Murong Yenran's face has already completely faded, but she still stubbornly straightened her body and refused to fall. Xiao Yan is standing just one step away from her, the two of them standing face to face, looking like a perfect couple from afar. But in fact, there was nothing romantic between them. From the bottom of my heart, I did look down on you because of your strength. But today, it has been proved that I was indeed short-sighted. Murong Yenran stubbornly looked at Xiao Yan. He wasn't an opponent she could defeat. Even her master couldn't. And after seeing the powerful power of Xiao Yan's two true fires, Murong Yenran believed that even her master, Ancestor Qing Wei, was no match for Xiao Yan. But I have said that even if I could go back, I would still go to the Xiao family to break off the engagement. My marriage doesn't need them to decide. I can't spend the rest of my life with a stranger. Xiao Yan looked a little tired. He said lightly, I can't spend the rest of my life with a stranger either. So, I never thought you were wrong to break off the engagement. It's just that the way you chose was wrong. Unfortunately, you are so arrogant that you only take it for granted. However, there's no point in arguing who's right and who's wrong now. I don't need you to be my servant. After today, you and I will walk our own paths, and there will be no more interactions between us. Originally, I was thinking that I don't need you to be my servant, but I still want you to admit your mistake and admit defeat in front of everyone, returning the face of my Xiao clan. But now that I think about it, it's actually not that important. The victor and the loser have already been decided, and the people of the world will have their own opinions. Xiao Yan let out a soft sigh. 3 years of hard work had finally been exchanged for success today. It was as if a boulder had been lifted from his heart. The 3-year agreement has ended, Murong Yenran. Xiao Yan looked up to the sky and let out a long roar. The true fire golden elixir in his body kept vibrating, and an endless raging fire suddenly ignited on his body. The expressions of Ancestor Violet Cloud, Ancestor Chinai, and the others all changed slightly. The expressions of Xiao Yan and the other Celeritas Sword Sect disciples were even more incomparably solemn. They were all experienced people, and could naturally tell that the raging fire surrounding Xiao Yan was not transformed from his own mana. Instead, Xiao Yan stripped away all of the fire attribute's spiritual energy in the outside world, transforming it into raging fire. Understanding the heavens, manipulating the spiritual energy of heaven and earth for one's own use. The cultivation level of the middle stage of the golden elixir. The battle with Crown Prince Chongyun fully squeezed out his own limits, and the battle with Murong Yenran completely untied the knot in his heart. Xiao Yan's mana and state of mind both leaped by leaps and bounds, successfully advancing to the middle stage of the golden elixir. The other fire tribulation that countless early-stage golden elixir cultivators would turn pale at the mention of it did not even cause any ripples on Xiao Yan's body. Xiao Yan stepped over it as if it was flat ground, as if it completely did not exist. The raging fire illuminated Murong Yenran's dazed and helpless pretty face. It did not appear fiery red, but instead made people feel increasingly pale. In the raging fire, Xiao Yan turned around in the direction of where Lin Feng was, and prostrated like a golden mountain or a jade pillar. He did not say a word, but everyone could feel Xiao Yan's mood at the moment. Lin Feng smiled faintly, reaching out his hand in the air to support Xiao Yan to stand up. The people of the Celeritas Sword Sect looked at this pair of master and disciple, all in a trance. Ancestor Qi Xia's gaze suddenly turned to Xiao Budian and Yu Hongyan at the side. After a long time he sighed, it's not an injustice to lose. Ancestor Qing Wei's face was livid, not saying a word. Ancestor Ziyun pondered and said, this master of Xian Men is an extremely protective person. Sword Venerable Flowing Light glanced at Murong Yenran, suddenly waved his hand, a white light rolled up Murong Yenran. From today onwards, Murong Yenran is my personal disciple. I will personally teach her Dao techniques and sword techniques. All the disciples of the Celeritas sword sect were shocked. Even Ancestor Ziyun and the other Yuanying stage ancestors were slightly in an uproar, and Ancestor Qing Wei was even more dumbfounded. No one would have thought that a crushing defeat would actually let Murong Yenran soar to the sky in one step, becoming the personal disciple of the sect's leader, Sword Venerable Flowing Light. Outsiders didn't know, but they were very clear that Sword Venerable Flowing Light had already not accepted a personal disciple for hundreds of years. Who would have thought that the first lucky person in hundreds of years was actually Murong Yenran, who had lost all face of the Celeritas sword sect? Lin Feng turned his head, looking at Sword Venerable Flowing Light with a smile. Sword Venerable Flowing Light, who had always been serious in speech and manner, at this moment also revealed a faint smile on his face, only the sharpness in his eyes became sharper and sharper. Lin Feng smiled lightly, slightly tilting his head. Little Yen, for you it's over, but for some people it's just the beginning. At this time the flames around Xiao Yan's body dissipated, coming to the side of Lin Feng and standing behind him. Hearing what was said, he also slightly smiled. For some people, if I can beat her once, then I can beat her for a lifetime. Your ambition is commendable. Sword Venerable Flowing Light said noncommittally, his gaze always staring at Lin Feng. There are still many famous sites on the Xingyin Peak. Sect Master Lin, do you want to go sightseeing? Lin Feng smiled. Let the younger generation go. I'm more willing to have a Dao exchange with Sect Master Flowing Light. The exchange here had no intention of challenging, it was just a literal and simple exchange. Of course, if Sword Venerable Flowing Light wanted to fight, Lin Feng also didn't mind exchanging actual combat with him. The previous battle with Dao Master Xing Do had benefited Lin Feng a lot. He also had a better understanding of the primordial soul realm, and the harvest was not shallow. Sword Venerable Flowing Light naturally wouldn't misunderstand Lin Feng's meaning. He took a deep look at Lin Feng. Lin Feng could feel the battle intent hidden in his heart, but Sword Venerable Flowing Light forcibly suppressed this impulse. Let the younger generation walk around more, Sect Master Lin, please. Xiao Budian had never dispersed his magic power, at this time still maintaining the 3-feet-tall ghost god of wind and thunder body standing on the ground. After hearing the conversation between Lin Feng and Sword Venerable Flowing Light, he immediately turned his head to look at Xiao Yan and said in a low muffled voice, for vermilion feather cranes, don't forget, it's 4. Tunton on the side nodded his head forcefully, after thinking for a while said, Tianhao, add 2 more. Hearing this, Xiao Budian immediately raised the price, and said to Xiao Yan, now I want 6. The crowd of Celeritas sword sect disciples were all speechless, the corners of the mouth of Patriarch Ziyun and the others also twitched. Xiao Yan's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. I actually lost to such a glutton. Lin Feng, who had already turned around to leave, also had the urge to hold his forehead and sigh at this moment. Because the battle with Crown Prince Chongyun was too shocking, Xiao Yan's battle with Murong Yenran afterwards clearly had a strong start and weak finish feeling. But perhaps it's also because of this that the Celeritas sword sect people's hearts are a lot better. Murong Yenran was accepted as a personal disciple by Sword Venerable Flowing Light, although Sword Venerable Flowing Light didn't say anything, but everyone could see that this primordial spirit expert wanted to earnestly teach Murong Yenran, hoping that Murong Yenran could personally get back at him in the future. Today's loss, the entire Celeritas sword sect could only swallow it whole. Lin Feng was curious in his heart. Since he accompanied Xiao Yan here, he was actually already prepared to fight with Sword Venerable Flowing Light. Who knew that it was actually a sword cultivator primordial spirit expert who never looked back? This was naturally not because Sword Venerable Flowing Light was afraid. The word back does not exist in the dictionary of a sword cultivator. If there was, then it would be impossible for him to cultivate to the primordial spirit stage. Lin Feng muttered in his heart, what kind of wish did Wu Qingru make to Sword Venerable Flowing Light, to be able to make this great sword cultivator endure it so patiently? What Wu Qingru's intentions, Lin Feng was only curious, but to Crown Prince Chongyun, he was already extremely angry. Not far from cloud-traversing peak, Crown Prince Chongyun stopped in his tracks, turned around and looked calmly at Huang Jiugong. Those who were familiar with him all knew that this crown prince who had always been violent and arrogant, once his emotions calmed down, it would instead mean that a more violent storm was coming. Huang Jiugong naturally understood this. He immediately took out a round plate, infused it with mana. The round plate flashed with a gentle light, the light projected a figure in midair. It was a 30-something-years-old middle-aged scholar, dressed in cloth, looking simple and elegant, his facial features elegant, his eyes deep like the ocean, yet bottomless and unfathomable. Crown Prince Chongyun looked at the middle-aged scholar silently. "Prime Minister Wu, this time you really made me suffer a little." This middle-aged scholar was the first prime minister of the Qin dynasty, a heaven's favorite who could lead the imperial court as a mere mortal, Wu Qingru. Hearing this, Wu Qingru said lightly, "This is only the first step of the plan, Your Highness need not worry too much." Crown Prince Chongyun stared at Wu Qingru for a while. "Oh? Then may I ask Prime Minister Wu, how many steps does your plan have in total?" "3 steps. Wu Qingru replied calmly. Crown Prince Chongyun suddenly calmed down, not the calm before the storm, but a true calmness, without a single ripple in his heart. He may have some flaws in his character, but to be able to reach where he was today, he was not a brute. When he thought that his opponent was not as good as him, he would be incomparably arrogant, but when faced with someone that he valued, Crown Prince Chongyun would truly calm down. "Prime Minister Wu's 3 steps, are they against me or against someone else?" Crown Prince Chongyun suddenly asked, and Wu Qingru heard this. A smile appeared on his face. He said slowly, "Against those who are not in favor of the Qin dynasty." Shi Chongyun's eyes flashed. He said in a low voice, "The first step is to make the conflict between you and me public, to embarrass me, to give others the wrong impression that my position as the crown prince is unstable." "No, it's not that simple." He suddenly raised his head, stared at Wu Qingru and said slowly, "You want others to think that you are standing on the opposite side of the Qin dynasty, that you want to use your power as a prime minister to balance the power of the emperor?" Wu Qingru said lightly, "Who do I want to think that?" Chapter 255. Wu Qingru's tone was like that of a patient teacher instructing her students. If it was in the past, no matter how much Chongyun feared Wu Qingru, he would have been infuriated to hear him speak to him in such a tone. But now, Chongyun remained calm as he stared at Wu Qingru. Behind him, Xing Do Dao Master also stared at Wu Qingru's silhouette in the air. His eyes flashed with an indecipherable light. Does Wu Qingru really want to lay his cards on the table, or is this another trick? I can't think of anyone other than the 4 aristocratic families and the major sects within the Qin Empire. Chongyun Crown Prince said silently. Wu Qingru nodded, "That's right. For an empire to prosper, centralization of power and unity between the emperor and his subjects is a prerequisite. The Great Zhou Empire is a clear example." He sighed. "The Great Zhou Empire is still developing rapidly. If the Qin Empire continues to have internal strife, it will only end up being swallowed by the Great Zhou Empire." Chongyun Crown Prince's eyes flashed, but he did not speak. Everyone knew that 100 years ago, the Qin Empire was the most prosperous empire in the Divine Land, suppressing the Great Zhou Empire. But in these 100 years, the Great Zhou Empire developed rapidly while the Qin Empire stagnated until it was surpassed by the Great Zhou Empire. The Great Zhou Empire had become the biggest winner and the ultimate beneficiary during the battle to destroy Buddhism. Its strength had grown explosively, and it had completely left Great Qin behind. Eliminating the aristocratic families and centralization of power is the second step of your plan. Chongyun Crown Prince asked, "What about the 3rd step?" Wu Qingru answered, "The 4 aristocratic families are the leaders with many other families following behind. How can it be so easy to eliminate them? The second step is to suppress and weaken them. The third step is to take action. At the same time, the third step is to eliminate the biggest obstacle of the plan." Chongyun Crown Prince's eyes flashed, the Shi clan, the dual-pupiled person. The relationship between the Qin Empire and the Shi clan was very complicated. The Shi clan was actually a branch of the imperial family. Sometimes, the Shi clan would stand on the side of the imperial family to deal with things. But it was precisely because they were a branch of the imperial clan that the Darqin dynasty's imperial family was most afraid of the Shi clan. But they were helpless against the Shi clan's geniuses emerging endlessly. Especially the appearance of the dual-pupiled Shi Tianyi, it announced that another genius had appeared in the Shi clan, and it completely established the position of the #1 clan in the Darqin dynasty. Because the imperial family had few legitimate heirs, there were many voices within the great Qin dynasty regarding Shi Tianyi's adoption. Crown Prince Chongyun said, "I have to admit that the dual-pupiled individual has given me some pressure among the younger generation. I won't be able to rest easy if he doesn't die prematurely." After a short pause, Chongyun Crown Prince added calmly, "From today onwards, Xianmen Tianzong Shao Yan can be counted as half." Wu Qingru smiled slightly, "There's something I forgot to tell your highness. Previously, in your highness's name, I vigorously cultivated and gave preferential treatment to the Wuzhou's Shao family that Shao Yan came from." Crown Prince Chongyun snorted without saying a word. Wu Qingru continued, "That is also part of the first step of the plan. Now that we have a good relationship with Xianmen Tianzong, it will be easier to carry out the third step of the plan." He smiled, "I believe your highness also knows about the background of the disciple of the Xianmen Gate's master, Shi Tianhao." "Of course I know. For the dual-pupiled individual to be able to achieve what he has today, at least half of it was achieved by stepping on that kid's shoulders." Crown Prince Chongyun said, "But I didn't expect that the kid who was supposed to be dead back then could still live until today. Not only did he live until today, his abilities are not weak either. To reach the golden elixir period at the age of 10 is extremely rare." Crown Prince Chongyun then changed the topic, "But the current him is still not strong enough to challenge the dual-pupiled individual." Wu Qingru said lightly, "Before today, your highness didn't think that Shao Yan is so difficult to deal with, right?" This was like sprinkling salt on Crown Prince Chongyun's wound. His face darkened, but he did not get angry. He only snorted coldly. Wu Qingru sighed, her eyes flashing, "I really don't know how the master of the Xianmen Gate managed to do it. It's not rare to have a genius disciple, but it's rare to have a disciple who is a monster. This person is really not simple." Crown Prince Chongyun's face had already returned to normal. He said calmly, "He's also very protective. Look at how the master of the Xianmen Gate personally accompanied Shao Yan to the cloud-traversing peak. If Shi Tianhao were to face the dual-pupiled individual in the future, he wouldn't just stand by and watch." Crown Prince Chongyun looked at Wu Qingru, "This is the chess piece that Minister Wu has planned for the third step of the plan, right?" Wu Qingru nodded honestly, "Not necessarily. It's also possible that the four great clans will use their power to give Xianmen Tianzong a hard time. The great Zhou dynasty wants to ally with the Shu Mountain Sword sect and Xianmen Tianzong to attack our Qin dynasty. How can I just sit back and watch?" Crown Prince Chongyun glanced at him and said coldly, "Since Minister Wu still remembers the great Zhou dynasty, then you should know that during the process of your plan, the great Zhou dynasty will not just sit back and do nothing." Wu Qingru smiled, "Thank you for your reminder, Your Highness. But don't worry, Your Highness. When the time comes, the great Zhou dynasty will not be able to take care of itself. They won't have the spare energy to interfere with our plan." "Oh." Crown Prince Chongyun was a little surprised, but he did not pursue the matter. Between the clans and Xianmen Tianzong, Minister Wu plans to weaken the strong to strengthen the weak. Is that right? Wu Qingru answered, "That's right. If one side completely overwhelms the other, it will only increase the power of the winner. This is not what I want. Both sides will suffer. That's the best choice for our Qin dynasty." Crown Prince Chongyun nodded and looked at Wu Qingru carefully, as if trying to see through him. Wu Qingru looked at him calmly, his eyes were still as deep as the sea. After a long time, Crown Prince Chongyun withdrew his gaze and said silently, "Since Minister Wu has a plan, then I will wait for the good news." Then he took a step forward and disappeared into the void. Dao Master Xing Do looked at Wu Qingru and sighed. Minister Wu's 3 steps does not only include the power of Xianmen Tianzong and the clans. Wu Qingru smiled. "You are too kind, Dao Master Xing Do." Dao Master Xing Do shook his head and turned into a ball of starlight, floating in the air. Shiling City, the capital of the Great Qin dynasty, Wu Qingru sat in his study in the Prime Minister's mansion in the north of the city. He watched as the light and shadow on the communication disc in front of him disappeared. His fingers tapped on the desk in front of him and he did not say a word. A young man stood beside him and suddenly asked, "Why Shi Chongyun?" Wu Qingru said lightly, "Because he is ambitious." The young man said, "But I always feel that he can't do anything right." Shi Chongyun's character does have a big flaw. He is surly, irritable, and arrogant. Wu Qingru said indifferently, "But unless he doesn't want to reach the primordial soul realm, he will improve these character flaws himself without anyone mentioning it. As I said just now, he is an ambitious person, so he will definitely make self-adjustment." This trip to Xingyun Peak, he suffered a setback at the hands of Xianmen Tianzong, which will speed up this process. The young man was silent for a moment and then said, "Why not that person with double pupils?" Wu Qingru chuckled, "His use is in other places. Even eldest brother cares about that Xianmen Tianzong?" The young man's eyes flashed and his calm face finally showed a look of surprise. Wu Qingru said noncommittally, "I care about the great Tianyuan world, the divine land, and all the living beings of the human clan." His fingers tapping on the table paused slightly. "Go and keep an eye on them. Even though I've already made things clear to Shi Chongyun, it's hard to guarantee that his temper won't rise and he won't make trouble for Wuzhou's Shao family. With his identity and status, as long as he reveals something that isn't obvious, it'll be enough for the Shao family to suffer." Wu Qingru revealed a smile. Shi Chongyun will naturally change, but before he reaches the late stages of yuanying, he won't know how difficult it is to reach the primordial soul realm. Before that, we can only put in a bit more effort. The young man nodded. His body retreated, stepping into the air and disappearing. The great Zhou dynasty's Tianjing city, within the imperial palace, Emperor Liang of Zhou sat cross-legged on his throne. Below him, Yan Mingyue and Zhu Hongwu sat facing each other. Mei Wulang stood below Liang Pan and reported the news he had just received. "This is the result of the battle." Mei Wulang finished his report. Emperor Liang of Zhou nodded and looked at Mei Wulang. "Wulang, what do you think?" He paused, then added, "We are talking about Xianmen Tianzong." Mei Wulang hurriedly bowed and replied respectfully, "Reporting to your majesty, it seems that the master of the Daoist gate, Lin Feng, is extremely protective of his disciples. A few days ago, we received a notice from Xianmen Tianzong that Marquis Zhu's son, Zhu Yi, will soon return to the great Zhou dynasty to participate in this year's Anka exam. Perhaps the master of the Daoist gate will accompany him to the great Zhou dynasty." Hearing this, Yan Mingyue smiled slightly, but didn't say anything. Zhu Hongwu sat motionlessly in his seat like a wooden statue, as if what they were discussing didn't interest him at all. Wulang's words are incorrect. Emperor Liang of Zhou shook his head slightly. "If we are correct, the master of the Daoist gate will not come personally." He didn't explain why, and Mei Wulang didn't dare to ask. Yan Mingyue and Zhu Hongwu remained silent. Emperor Liang Pan didn't seem to mind. He only sighed and said, "A golden elixir period cultivator who was able to destroy a yuanying period magic tool in one blow. Xianmen Tianzong's disciples are indeed extraordinary. From the looks of it now, they are still in the growth stage. When they truly mature, they will truly be rare talents. The master of the Daoist gate, Lin Feng, is truly not simple." Liang Pan glanced at Zhu Hongwu. "I should also congratulate Hongwu. Your son is among them." Zhu Hongwu stood. Thank you for your praise, Your Majesty. This subject is flattered. Liang Pan looked at Yan Mingyue and said slowly, I wish Fairy Yan all the best on your return to White Cloud Mountain. Yan Mingyue smiled slightly and said, Thank you, Your Majesty. She was slightly dazed. Flame Dragon Heavenly Armor. You've already refined the Vermilion Flame Demonic Eye into a magic tool so quickly. Even primordial soul cultivators needed to refine magic tools for many years before they could succeed. Many magic tools could be refined for hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years without success. Lin Feng, where did you come from? Yan Mingyue frowned slightly. What exactly do you want? Yan Mingyue suddenly laughed. Perhaps you don't know it, but you will be a great help to me on my return to White Cloud Mountain. But for some reason, I'm suddenly a bit afraid of you. Chapter 256. On the northern slope of the cloud-traversing peak there was a large area of flat land. There was a small lake. Within the lake there were over 100 giant red-crowned cranes. These red-crowned cranes, if one calculated the distance from the top of their heads to the ground, each of them were over 3 meters tall, their bodies far exceeding their own kind, able to be ridden by humans. The ends of their feathers were all vermilion red. These were precisely the special birds of the cloud-traversing peak, vermilion-feathered cranes. These vermilion-feathered cranes were all full of spiritual essence, boundless magic power surging and vibrating around their bodies. Apart from the young birds, most of them already had demon general level strength, equivalent to the human foundation establishment stage. Among them there were even a few vermilion-feathered cranes that had already formed their demon cores, reaching the demon commander level. The leader of the crane group was a late-stage demon commander, only a step away from forming a demon infant and becoming a demon king. This leader of the crane group was originally leisurely looking at its own kind. Suddenly a trace of palpitation flashed past its heart. It raised its head and looked around, expanding its spiritual sense to the extreme, but it didn't discover anything. Am I too sensitive? The vermilion-feathered crane leader shook its long and slender neck, the uneasy feeling in its heart still lingering. It's all because of that human child, and that little Tao Tai. Thinking about how its 6 kind members that were taken away never returned, the vermilion-feathered crane leader's heart trembled. The other party had a Tao Tai. This really made it too worried. It had a faint premonition that those 6 kind members might never return. If the other party wanted to take them away, it was very likely that they weren't going to be used as mounts, but as food. What the hell is the Celeritas Sword sect doing? How can they treat us like this? The vermilion-feathered crane leader was indignant, thinking, no, I have to remind my people to be careful, they definitely can't leave the lake, and even more can't move alone. As it was thinking, it suddenly felt that something was wrong. It lowered its head to look, and was almost scared out of its wits. Right in front of it, right below its body, an 11 or 12-year-old purple-clothed youth was currently looking at it with a smile. The vermilion-feathered crane leader was about to shriek on the spot. This purple-clothed youth was naturally the little guy. His eyes and hands were quick, grabbing onto the vermilion-feathered crane's slender beak, tightly holding it, not letting the bird beak open. The vermilion feather crane leader was furious, and was about to stir up its demonic force to resist. Although the vermilion feather crane race was not good at fighting, it still had the strength of a peak demon commander. Even if it couldn't defeat the little guy, it could still cause some disturbance. As long as the other Zhu Yuha are alarmed, the Celeritas Sword sect disciples in charge of guarding this place will naturally also be alarmed, and the situation will have the possibility of reversing. However, as soon as the leader of the Vermilion Crane tribe moved, he felt that the demonic energy he sent out was like a clay ox in the sea, unable to cause any waves or make any noise. It lowered its head and saw a delicate little girl opening her mouth and inhaling. The demonic energy it released was all sucked into the little girl's mouth. The vermilion feather crane leader was even more afraid than when it saw Xiao Budian, because it recognized that this was Tunten, the little Tao Tai that ate cranes without spitting out bones. The vermilion feather crane leader's demonic energy was unceasingly devoured by Tunton. It still wanted to struggle, but the little guy's other hand had already grabbed its body. Berserk lightning instantly passed through the vermilion feather crane's entire body, electrocuting it until it trembled uncontrollably. Its entire body was numb, and it couldn't muster up any strength. It couldn't even move a single feather. At this time, Tunton's words made the vermilion feather crane leader fall into complete despair. This guy should be the tastiest of all the vermilion feather cranes, it has the most spirit energy. The little guy said, "Too little, not enough to eat, catch some more." While speaking, his hand increased the intensity of the lightning. The vermilion feather crane leader's eyes instantly rolled over, and it completely fainted. Its last thought before losing consciousness was, "Celerita's sword sect bastards, you guys let a wolf into your house." After making the vermilion feather crane leader faint, the little guy and Tunton did the same thing, knocking out all the other demon commander level Zhu Yuha in the flock. According to the two's original intention, they wanted to catch all the demon commander level Zhu Yuha in one fell swoop, and it would be best if they also caught the young birds. This little one doesn't have enough spirit energy, but the meat is tender. Tunton was very greedy, and wanted to catch all of the Celerita's sword sects over 100 vermilion feather cranes. The little guy decisively criticized her. "Master said before, in the 49 Dian, there is only a slim chance of survival. You can't be so ruthless in everything. At the very least, we should leave behind a female and a male young bird for the Celerita's sword sect, so that they can breed in the future. Unfortunately, dreams are very plentiful, but reality is very bony." The two gluttons' abacus was quite good, but very quickly they felt a wave of magic power unique to the Yuanying stage approaching. Although the man and the demon were not afraid, they were afraid that the Celerita's sword sect's people would report the matter to Lin Feng. They could only resentfully stop, and quickly slip away with the already captured vermilion feather cranes. When they slipped back to their residence, they discovered that Xiao Yan was grinning and waiting for them. Ever since witnessing the powerful strength of Xiao Yan's two great true fires fused, Tunton felt a bit apprehensive whenever she saw him. She didn't forget that back then when Xiao Yan turned from genius to trash, she had more than half of the credit. "Eldest senior brother, you're so free." The little guy walked up with a mischievous smile. Xiao Yan unhappily glanced at him. "Went to steal other people's vermilion feather cranes, right?" The little guy curled his lips. "Raised it will always have to be eaten." Xiao Yan patted his little head. "Less nonsense, other people raise vermilion feather cranes to be used as mounts. It's just you, the first thing you think of when you see something is to eat." He helplessly shook his head. "Master already knew that you guys would be like this, so he specially told me to wait for you guys. Seeing you guys come back, I'll immediately bring you to the top of the cloud traveling peak. After Master says goodbye to Sword Venerable Flowing Light, he'll bring us and leave together." The little guy and Tunton both laughed mischievously, hurriedly following Xiao Yan to the top of the cloud traveling peak. There, beside Lin Feng stood Jiayu and Yu Hongyan, currently conversing with Sword Venerable Flowing Light. Behind Sword Venerable Flowing Light stood Ancestor Violet Cloud and the other Yuanying stage elders of the Celerita's sword sect. The corner of Lin Feng's eyes swept across the little guy and Tunton. The little guy's smile was as bright as the sun, while Tunton was a bit embarrassed. How could he not know that they indeed had designs on the Celerita's sword sect's vermilion feather crane? The Celerita's sword sect can be considered to have opened the door to the thieves this time. Lin Feng was both angry and amused in his heart, but on the surface he didn't show it in the slightest, conversing normally with Sword Venerable Flowing Light. Almost right after the little guy and Tunton, Ancestor Qi Xia came to the top of the mountain with a black face, staring at the little guy and Tunton as she panted heavily. In front of her, the little guy and Tunton were much more at ease, both of them looking at her with large watery eyes filled with innocence and innocence. That gaze was as pure as it could be. Ancestor Qi Xia was seething with anger, but there was nothing she could do. She now knew that unless they were caught red-handed on the spot, these two little bastards wouldn't admit it at all. Sword Venerable Flowing Light's expression was the same as usual, looking at Lin Feng and indifferently saying, 1 month later, I hope to be able to have another exchange with Sect Master Lin at the entrance of the ancient desolate sea world. Lin Feng said with a slight smile, that is also what I hope for. Sect Master Flowing Light, please stay, I will take my sect's disciples and leave. I have troubled you these days. I welcome Sect Master Flowing Light to be a guest at my Jade Capital Mountain at any time. I will sweep my bed to welcome you. Jia Feng transformed into his dragon form, Lin Feng, Xiao Yan, and the rest got on the black dragon's back. Jia Yu let out a long cry, flying into the air and disappearing into the distance in an instant. After leaving the Xingyun Peak, Lin Feng looked at Xiao Budian and Tunten with a faint smile, not saying a word. Xiao Budian chuckled and poured out a dozen Zhu Yuha that he had electrocuted from his storage pouch. He said as if he was presenting a treasure, Master, these cranes are still alive. We can slaughter them at any time and eat them fresh at any time. Disciple is being extra careful. They are all caught in pairs, 1 male and 1 female. If we can't finish them in a short time, we can raise them on Jade Capital Mountain and let them breed. That way, we will have something to eat in the future. Looking at the proud Xiao Budian, the corners of Lin Feng's mouth twitched a few times. Lin Feng knew that he was also a person who liked food, but he was not as persistent and attentive as Xiao Budian. He was planning to eat at any time, anywhere, and any non-human creature could enter his menu. When it came to eating, the two's brain waves were indeed not on the same channel. This Zhu Yuha tastes really good. After returning to the mountain, I'll invite the other senior brothers and those martial nephews to have a taste. Xiao Budian said happily. Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Alright, not bad. You still remember to share after getting good stuff, and remember the people on the mountain. Xiao Budian smiled and made a face at Xiao Yan, eldest senior brother. You've eaten on the Xingyun Peak, I won't leave any for you this time. Don't worry, no one will fight with you. Xiao Yan scolded jokingly, look at how greedy you are. After joking around with Xiao Budian for a while, Xiao Yan gradually withdrew his smile and looked at Lin Feng, his expression as if he wanted to say something but was hesitant. Lin Feng smiled slightly, you want to go find your little wife? When he was in Wuzhou City, he didn't see Xiao Zhen, and Xiao Yan was extremely disappointed. Later, old Chief Xiao gave Xiao Yan a brocade pouch and mentioned that it was left for him by Xiao Zhen. Although Lin Feng didn't know what was in the brocade pouch, seeing that Xiao Yan wasn't sad at the moment, he knew that the situation shouldn't be very bad. Xiao Yan's 3-year agreement was not only set with Murong Yanran alone. There was also an agreement with another person. These few years, he had always been worried about it. Now that the matter with Murong Yanran had come to an end, Xiao Yan would naturally start thinking about Xiao Zhen. Hearing that, Xiao Yan's face instantly turned slightly red. Master, I want to go find Zhen. His expression became a bit more serious, taking out a letter from his bosom and handing it to Lin Feng with both hands. Lin Feng didn't take it immediately, instead looking at Xiao Yan with a probing gaze. This was a private letter from Xiao Zhen, to Xiao Yan, a private conversation between young lovers. Although Lin Feng liked gossip, he didn't plan to read it. Master, please take a look, Xiao Yan said very seriously. There was no shyness on his face, instead, there was a bit of graveness. Lin Feng took the letter and roughly read it, the fire of gossip in his heart also instantly extinguished. After pondering for a while, he nodded his head. I don't object to you preparing to go find her, but there are some things that you must pay attention to. Chapter 257. There are 3 things you need to be careful about. Lin Feng looked at Xiao Yan and said solemnly, the first thing is that you should not use your true fire fusion technique easily. You should know that this is still an immature and incomplete technique. Xiao Yan nodded, confirming Lin Feng's judgment. With his current cultivation, the fusion of true fire was still extremely risky. It was like stepping on a tightrope. If he was not careful, the fusion of true fire would fail and he would suffer a backlash. The fusion of the two true fires was his last trump card. He would not use it easily unless it was absolutely necessary. Lin Feng raised 2 fingers and said, there are 2 solutions. One is to reduce the power of the fusion of the 2 flames. One is to use the true fire of the sun, and the other is to use the flames formed by your own magic power. This way, the fusion will be much more stable and safer, but the power will definitely be reduced. Xiao Yan nodded and said, that's right. The dark evil flame is too violent. It's okay to use it alone, but if you use it to fuse it, the risk will be doubled. Lin Feng continued, second, your cultivation realm will be further improved. I estimate that when you reach the late stage of the golden elixir, the success rate of the fusion of the 2 true fires will be more than 70%. One day, when you successfully form your nascent soul and reach the Yuanying stage, you will be able to fuse the true fire with ease. Xiao Yan said seriously, I will definitely work hard to cultivate. Even if I am not at Yujing Mountain, without master's supervision, I will not slack off. It's good that you can recognize this. Lin Feng nodded with satisfaction and said, the second thing is that you need to be mentally prepared. This time, when you go to find your Zhener, the journey may not be smooth. Many unexpected things may happen. If there is an accident, remember not to have a conflict with Xiao Zhener's family. Xiao Yan frowned slightly. Lin Feng glanced at him and said, according to the letter Xiao Zhen left for you, her family background is very special. If there is any mistake, there will be many twists and turns. Lin Feng said slowly, I'm not asking you to swallow your anger, but I want you to think twice before you act. Don't be impatient, and nip any potential conflicts in the bud. Don't let such a situation happen at all. If you really get bullied, remember whose disciple you are. We, the people of Xianmen Tianzong, can eat anything but be bullied. At this point, Lin Feng raised his hand and gestured in the air. This is the third thing I want to tell you. He used his own magic power to write a talisman in the air. After it took shape, it fell into Xiao Yan's hand. If you really encounter any difficulties, don't take it on yourself. The sect will always be your strong shield. Lin Feng said calmly, take this talisman with you. If something happens, crush it. I will immediately sense it. This talisman contains the power of the law of space. It will tell me where you are. Even if you are not in the boundless world, in some medium-class world or even in the void turbulence, I will still be able to determine your position. Xiao Yan solemnly accepted the talisman and said softly, Master, don't worry. I will remember your teachings. Lin Feng nodded and laughed loudly. Go, silly boy. Go and bring your little wife back. I am still waiting for you to serve me tea. Xiao Yan was a heroic person. Hearing this, he also laughed. Master, just wait for my good news. Xiao Budian smiled and said, eldest senior brother, are you going to bring me a little sister-in-law? Xiao Yan smiled and said, silly boy. Eldest sister-in-law is eldest sister-in-law. What do you mean by little sister-in-law? Zhen is older than you. Yu Hongyan also smiled and said, I hope that eldest senior brother will bring back a beauty. Thank you, fourth junior sister. As Xiao Yan laughed, 2 flame wings spread out behind him and took him into the sky. Master, disciple is going. Seeing Xiao Yan's figure turn into a small dot and gradually disappear in the sky, Lin Feng sighed and rubbed his eyebrows. Thinking of the letter Xiao Zhen left for Xiao Yan, Lin Feng smiled bitterly in his heart. I also want a wife. I want a lot of wives. I want a lot of wives with a lot of dowries. Lin Feng shook his head and turned to look at Xiao Budian. He thought, this little guy should have a long time before he can cheat me of a dowry, right? Looking at Xiao Budian, Lin Feng thought of Wu Qingru and Chongyun Crown Prince. Then he thought of a name that even he had heard many times. Dual pupils, Shi Tianyi. Not only the Shi family, not only the Great Qin dynasty, but the entire Divine Land and the entire Tianyuan world. This name was well known. The Shi family and the Great Qin dynasty also had a grotto heaven that could accelerate time. It was said that Shi Tianyi was only 14 or 15 years old. However, this 14 or 15-year-old youth had already reached the peak of the Golden Elixir realm. He had gone into closed-door training a long time ago to break through to the Yuanying realm. Such a cultivation speed could be counted on one's fingers. To put it bluntly, even if he died now, he was destined to be a legend that would be recorded in the history books. Lin Feng's monstrous reputation as a disciple of the Celestial Sect of Wonders has already spread throughout the continent. The only ones that can challenge them, and even faintly suppress them, are only the Void Temple and this Shi Tianyi. Also, Lin Feng has sufficient reason to believe that Shi Tianyi's golden elixir definitely has something special about it. This guy dug out Xiao Budian's sovereign spirit platform back then. Adding on his own outstanding talent, with the two combined, as long as there are no major accidents, Lin Feng dares to bet that not only will he form a violet core, he will even have a violet core that gives birth to a phenomenon. With this kind of foundation, adding on his outstanding talent and the Shi family's great nurturing, this person's strength can definitely surpass realms to challenge. His actual battle strength far surpasses a normal late-stage golden elixir cultivators. Xiao Yan's matter has temporarily come to an end. Even though Zhu Yi is going to return to the Great Zhou dynasty very soon to participate in the exam, he still has to fight with his old man, the Marquis of Xuanji Zhu Hongguo. Lin Feng thought in his heart, right now the most pressing matter should be the little guy. In all fairness, Xiao Budian, who has already formed a golden elixir at the mere age of 11, is even more monstrous than Shi Tianyi. Not long after Xiao Budian was born, Shi Tianyi and his mother dug out his sovereign spirit platform. This is equivalent to Shi Tianyi directly starting from the middle stage of foundation establishment. And after Xiao Budian encountered a great calamity, he only met Lin Feng when he was almost 4 years old. At that time, Shi Tianyi, who was at the middle stage of foundation establishment, had already diligently cultivated for over 3 years. His starting point was already high and his cultivation time was also longer. Shi Tianyi having today's good fortune was not completely without reason. And for Xiao Budian to be able to work hard to catch up under such a large gap and catch up to his current stage is already very difficult. But clearly, if this continues, the gap will still exist, unless Shi Tianyi is unable to form his nascent soul and is stuck at the late stage of the golden elixir for several years. But with the talent and cultivation speed that Shi Tianyi displayed before, hoping that he will always wait for Xiao Budian in the late stage of the golden elixir is clearly impossible. Xiao Budian still needs to continue to speed up and strengthen his strength. Lin Feng carefully pondered, but haste makes waste. I also need to be careful at all times. If I am greedy for speed and have an unstable foundation, then the gains will not make up for the losses. He raised his head to look at the sky above and suddenly said, Jiayu, stop. Black Dragon Jiayu stopped in mid-air as instructed. Lin Feng said, you all wait for master here. After saying that, Lin Feng disappeared from Jia Feng's back. He directly broke through the void and arrived above the clouds, flying even higher. Soon, Lin Feng had already arrived at the astral wind layer above the 9th heaven. Here, the invincible 9th heaven formless astral wind is densely covered. The astral wind here is completely different from the 9th heaven formless astral wind cultivated by the Wind God sect. The Wind God sect cultivators cultivated the 9th heaven formless astral wind by using their own magic power to carefully capture a little bit of the astral wind and then refine it with their own magic power. Here in the astral wind layer, it is the real 9th heaven formless astral wind, which can tear everything apart. Not to mention Yuanying cultivators, even primordial soul cultivators can't guarantee their safety if they go deep inside. The danger here is on the same level as the void storm in the void turbulence, which can make all cultivators' expressions change. When Lin Feng came here, he used the cyclic purple qi to refine a small world and tried to capture a part of the 9th heaven formless astral wind. In the end, the small world was completely destroyed by the ninth heaven formless astral wind. It is indeed powerful. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly and reached out with both hands, attacking with both hands. The celestial world barrier in his left hand, and the twin world void technique in his right. First, he used the heavenly barrier to temporarily cut off a space, cutting off the sharp ninth heaven formless astral wind. Then, he used the two realms void technique to immediately replace a part of the space where the ninth heaven formless astral wind was located, freeing it from the astral wind layer. All of this was done in an instant. After a moment, the violent astral wind had broken through the heavenly barrier and resumed its normal flow. At this time, Lin Feng changed the incantation gesture with both hands and once again used the heavenly small world to imprison the ninth heaven formless astral wind that he had separated. This is the most primitive and powerful ninth heaven formless astral wind. Even though it was sealed in the heavenly small world, it did not stop at all. It was like a wild horse that had escaped its reins and kept running around, wanting to rush out of the small world. However, Lin Feng decisively strengthened the heavenly small world and trapped the astral wind inside. Just having the wind is not enough. Lin Feng muttered to himself. With a long cry, the top of his head shone brightly and a baby slowly rose from it. The baby's facial features were 70% similar to Lin Feng himself. It was Lin Feng's Yuanying. Yuanying came out of his body and pointed to the sky with his chubby and short little hand. Suddenly, there was the sound of rolling thunder above the ninth heaven. In the next moment, a fierce thunderbolt directly passed through the space and struck in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng was confident and did not panic. He used the same method he used to deal with the ninth heaven formless astral wind to deal with the void thunder tribulation. First, he used the heavenly barrier to separate it, then he used the two realms void technique to separate it. Finally, he used the heavenly small world to seal it. When he had collected enough wind and thunder, Lin Feng's Yuanying returned to his body. Even with his current supernatural power, a faint look of fatigue appeared on his face. Everything he had done today was equivalent to going through several lightning tribulations in a row. However, in the end, everything was worth it. Lin Feng revealed a smile on his face, passing through space and landing back on Jia Feng's back. He looked at the little guy who had a blank face with a smile, saying in his heart, "Little guy, prepare for the hellish special training that your master has prepared for you." Although the little guy did not understand the situation, when he saw the smile on Lin Feng's face, he felt a chill all over his body and shivered a few times. Chapter 258. Lin Feng stood on Jia Feng's back, standing in the wind, unspeakably cool and at ease. Tunten and Yu Hongyan stood behind him, their eyes filled with fear as they looked at him. Lin Feng's left hand was behind his back, and his right hand was holding a purple ball about a foot in diameter. It floated in the air above his palm, bobbing up and down with the turbulence of the air. It was a small world condensed from Lin Feng's magic power. Fierce astral winds and lightning were constantly wreaking havoc in this independent space, as if doomsday had arrived. Suddenly, something seemed to be coming out of the small world, and a tremendous force struck the surface of the purple ball from the inside. Lin Feng smiled. "Silly boy, the void tribulation lightning itself has the ability to break through space. In order to prevent the tribulation lightning from escaping, I have made special arrangements in this small world. The tribulation lightning can't travel through space, so you naturally can't use the bronze void cauldron to escape." The little guy's anxious voice came from the small world. "Master, let me out." Lin Feng said unhurriedly, "I will let you out when you have one last breath left, but you don't have to worry. With the bronze void cauldron protecting you, you won't die. However, I hope that you can use your own strength to resist the astral winds and tribulation lightning. This will greatly improve your strength, especially your physical strength. After being tempered by the nine heavens formless astral wind and the void tribulation lightning, the strength of your physical body will reach an unprecedented height." Lin Feng smiled. Silly boy, work hard. I have high hopes for you. Master, do you really want to play me to death? The little guy in the small world wailed, and then his voice was drowned out by the roaring wind and thunder. Tunton swallowed his saliva and obediently sat on Jia Feng's back, not daring to make the slightest move. Yu Hongyan had always believed that he was very diligent in his cultivation and could endure hardship, but now that he saw the treatment the little guy was receiving, he couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Lin Feng ignored the little guy's protest, unscrupulously thinking in his heart, 10 minutes on stage is 10 years of work off stage. My good disciple, take your time to comprehend. While using his own magic power to maintain the stability of the small world, Lin Feng entered the system. Looking at his reputation, Lin Feng felt satisfied. This trip to Cloud Traversing Peak was really not in vain. In the southeast region of the Great Qin dynasty where Cloud Traversing Peak was located, Lin Feng's reputation directly soared to 80. This was still because that was the Celeritas sword sect's headquarters and had deep roots and deep influence. Or else Lin Feng's reputation would be even higher, completely not lower than his nest in the northern foothills of Kunlun mountain region. But on the other hand, this time Lin Feng also stepped on the Celeritas sword sect to climb up. If the Celeritas sword sect didn't have such a large influence, then Lin Feng's reputation wouldn't have risen so high. What made Lin Feng more pleasantly surprised was that Xianmen Tianzong's overall reputation in the southeast region of the Great Qin also rose to the height of 70. For a sect's overall reputation, this kind of leaping speed was extremely shocking. Xiao Yan easily insta-killing Murong Yenran was one thing, the little guy defeating the Celeritas sword sect's head disciple Zhao Yan was another, and Xiao Yan's world-shaking true fire fusion attack made the Chongyun crown prince lose face and added another fire to the fire. Only with these three methods could there be such a miraculous effect. Looks like raising the sect's overall reputation, letting the sect disciples show off, the effect of raising is even more obvious. A layer of understanding rose in Lin Feng's heart. The main reason I show off myself is to raise my personal reputation. Although the sect's overall reputation will also increase, the effect won't be as much as my personal reputation. Lin Feng looked at the other regions. His personal reputation and the sect's overall reputation both had different degrees of increase. Even the sect's overall reputation at the northern foothills of the Kunlun Mountains had increased from the original 75 to 80. This was all thanks to Lin Feng riding a dragon the whole way and attending the appointment in a high-profile manner, practically making the matter known to everyone. It's just that there's still a long way to go to reach a global sect's overall reputation of over 80. Lin Feng looked at the reputation system while thinking, the tournament before the opening of the ancient desolate sea world this time is another great opportunity to raise my reputation. From Lin Feng's point of view, the value of the tournament was much higher than entering the ancient desolate sea world itself. With those stinking brats heaven-defying luck, as long as they enter the ancient desolate sea world, they will definitely eat and snatch everything. Lin Feng was not worried that his disciples would return empty-handed after entering the ancient desolate sea world. What a joke! How could a group of chosen ones not gain anything when they went to a place to train and search for treasures? Not only did they eat all the meat, they did not even leave any bones behind. It was already very kind of them to leave some soup for others. In fact, even Lin Feng's heart was pounding. He only hoped that these brats would not kill everything aside from eating and snatching. That would be fun. It doesn't matter if it's a little bloody during the initial stage of accumulating wealth. Lin Feng tried to find joy in the bitterness. But I've already washed my hands clean. The sect needs to develop, so I can't really make enemies everywhere. With the innate advantage of Yujing Mountain, Lin Feng was not afraid. He was not worried about making enemies everywhere. However, that would be too tiring, too boring, and too lacking in quality of life. It would also be inconvenient for him to complete the system's missions. Therefore, compared to entering the ancient desolate sea world, Lin Feng was more concerned about how to let his own disciples shine and make a name for themselves in the tournament that would decide the spots, so that they could blind everyone's eyes and further increase the prestige of the sect. Lin Feng headed northwest and quickly returned to the Kunlun mountain range. He was not in a hurry. He cultivated when he needed to, and enjoyed the scenery when he needed to. At the same time, he would also train Tiny. Life was really too beautiful. The host has received a chance to draw a lottery once a month. The June lottery has been announced. Do you want to draw immediately? The days passed too leisurely. When the system's notification rang in his ears, Lin Feng realized that it was already June. Ever since the last system upgrade, Lin Feng could now get a chance to draw a lottery once a month. This made them very satisfied. Of course, I'll start drawing now. Lin Feng did not hesitate to enter the lottery system. He first entered the roulette system. After glancing at the items to be drawn, Lin Feng's gaze stopped on a Dharma sword. Pure Yang sword, a golden elixir period Dharma artifact. Speaking of which, with Lin Feng's current cultivation level, a golden elixir period Dharma artifact was no longer attractive to him. He could only bestow it to his disciples. However, this Dharma sword still caught Lin Feng's attention. The reason was none other than that the Pure Yang sword had been refined with Pure Yang True Fire. With this Pure Yang sword, Lin Feng had a chance to figure out the secrets of Pure Yang True Fire. Pure Yang True Fire was one of the 7 great true fires in the world. It was known as the ancestor of all flames. It was the source and ancestor of all flames in the entire heaven primal world. It was the purest flame that could fuse with many other flames and subdue all evil. Lin Feng glanced at the Pure Yang sword's number, and after doing some mental calculations, he began spinning the roulette. The roulette spun rapidly, and soon, it had completed 3.5 revolutions before it gradually came to a stop. However, what left Lin Feng somewhat depressed was that there was a 1 in 4 chance that he would once again miss his target. The roulette spun an extra slot before it finally stopped at the slot behind the Pure Yang sword. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. He had an idea of all the items to be drawn. He was actually more interested in the item behind the Pure Yang sword. How should I put it? It feels a little like a scam. Lin Feng frowned slightly as he withdrew his consciousness from the lottery system. He looked at the item in his hand and fell into deep thought. It was a small bell hammer. It was pale gold in color, and its surface was engraved with mysterious patterns. The strength it emitted was extraordinary, and it was clearly a good item. However, Lin Feng was not very happy. This was because the system's explanation told him that the outstanding thing about the bell hammer did not lie in itself. The bell hammer was an accessory of an essence soul Dharma treasure, the Yellow Heaven Bell. Although it possessed extraordinary dharmic powers and divine powers, it was ultimately not the Dharma treasure, the Yellow Heaven Bell. Lin Feng thought for a moment. I'll keep it for now. Perhaps I can use it to find the Yellow Heaven Bell. As he thought about it, Lin Feng's heart stirred slightly. He lowered his head to look at the small world in his hand. In the purple chi world, the astral winds and tribulation lightning had gradually dissipated. Not only did it have to attack Lin Feng's small world, but it also had to attack the tiny dot within. After many days of attrition, the astral winds and tribulation lightning had gradually thinned. Or it should be said that a considerable portion of the spiritual chi's strength had been absorbed by the tiny dot. This cultivation method is good, but it's too troublesome. The astral winds and tribulation lightning have become consumables. I always need to replenish them. Lin Feng swung his hand as the small world transformed into a blob of purple chi once again. The tiny dot leaped out from within. At this moment, the tiny dot had once again transformed into the body of wind and thunder. His entire body was densely covered with astral winds and thunder, making him look like a ghost god. Compared to when he was on the Xingyun Peak, the tiny dot's current body of wind and thunder had shrunk a lot. It had originally been more than 3 meters tall, but now it was only a little more than 2 meters tall. However, the power contained within it was more condensed and terrifying. Seeing this, Lin Feng smiled. Good, it's not a waste of effort. When you can transform this body of wind and thunder to the same size as your original body, then you can truly be considered to have mastered it. The tiny dot dispersed the astral winds and thunder around him. He sat cross-legged on Jia Feng's back angrily and tilted his head to look at Lin Feng. His pair of big eyes were about to cry, filled with grievance and sadness. Lin Feng was both annoyed and amused. He patted his little head. Stop pretending. I have something good for you. Do you want it or not? Hearing this, the tiny dot immediately smiled. He stood up with a smile and threw himself to Lin Feng's side. I knew that Master treats me the best. You were waiting for Master to say that, weren't you? Lin Feng looked at him with a faint smile. The tiny dot scratched the back of his head and slyly laughed. Of course, he knew that Lin Feng's special training was for his own good. Just now, he was pretending to be pitiful. The tiny dot shouted, Master's treasures have all been given to eldest senior brother. If I don't hurry up, I'll have nothing left. Lin Feng laughed and scolded, Master's family isn't as poor as you say. Cultivate well and you won't be lacking in treasures. You and your fellow apprentices will all have a share. Same old rule. Master will give a treasure to whoever forms the yuanying first. The next person will also have a share. However, first come, first served. If you don't form the yuanying, the treasure won't be of much use to you. Lin Feng glanced at the tiny dot. Do you think your eldest senior brother is as greedy as you? As he spoke, he flicked his finger. A flame flew out and stopped in mid-air. It was the flame dragon heavenly armor. The tiny dot looked at the flame dragon heavenly armor and sighed. He said something that made Lin Feng not know whether to laugh or cry, eldest senior brother is so silly. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't return it. Chapter 259. Lin Feng stretched out both of his hands, pinching the two sides of the little guy's snow-white and tender cheeks, pulling them from both sides. You're the thickest kid. The little guy hurriedly held his face and shouted, Master, don't be like this. When I was in Stone Village, the elders always said that children's saliva would be squeezed out by pinching their cheeks like this. When they grow up, they will also drool non-stop. Come on, that's for babies. Lin Feng was unmoved. You're already over 11 years old. No matter how much I pinch you, you'll be fine. He nodded and smiled. Yeah, it feels good. The little guy puffed up his cheeks and looked at Lin Feng helplessly. Yu Hongyan looked at Lin Feng and Xiao Budian and couldn't stop smiling. Even that pair of red eyebrows with a heavy killing intent became gentle. Tunten and Jiayu were a little surprised. They clearly didn't expect the unfathomable Lin Feng and the little guy, who was like a little demon king, to have such a side. However, I'm afraid this side will only be shown between them, master and disciple, right? Black Dragon Jiayu shook his head. After messing around with the little guy enough, Lin Feng put away the Flame Dragon heavenly armor and took out the Yellow Heaven Bell hammer. He handed it to the little guy and said, Bring the bronze void cauldron over. The little guy did as he was told. His body emitted a green light, and a three-legged bronze cauldron separated from his body and landed in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng held the Yellow Heaven Bell hammer and lightly knocked on the bronze void cauldron. Immediately, a vast sound spread in the air. The little guy, Yu Hongyan, and Tunten all widened their eyes. They saw ripples appear around the bronze void cauldron. The waves were so bright that they seemed to be tangible, and they spread out in all directions. Wherever the sound waves passed, the entire space shook and collapsed. The little guy's eyes lit up. What a powerful might! Even though the bronze void cauldron itself has refined a large amount of spatial laws, it still can't reach this level. Lin Feng smiled and said, "This item was originally the primordial spirit Dharma treasure, the yellow heaven bell. The reason why the bronze void cauldron has such power is because of its activation, the result of the two powers fusing. I gave this to you as a fortuitous encounter from your master. Whether or not you can find the yellow heaven bell in the future will depend on your own luck." "Thank you, master." Xiao Budian was overjoyed at first, but then he rolled his eyes and said, "Master, if I form a Yuanying." Lin Feng jokingly scolded, "You're really smart, kid. Don't worry, this yellow heaven bell is something else. On the day you successfully form your nascent soul, Master will give you another magic weapon." Xiao Budian immediately laughed heartily, "Thank you, Master." Lin Feng looked at him fondly playing with the yellow heaven bell hammer and took a deep breath. TSK, with so many disciples, everyone must have something good. I have to become a treasure boy. I've already bragged. It's both pressure and motivation. Lin Feng thought, I also have to hurry up and cultivate, and strive to advance to the primordial spirit realm as soon as possible. Riding on Jiayu and flying all the way, Lin Feng looked around. Suddenly, his eyes flashed. He saw that in the middle of the Kunlun mountain range, there was a huge barren land. Not to mention plants and creatures, even the rocks on the mountain peaks were scattered everywhere. The mountain rocks were white and incomplete. That was the result of being burned by an extremely high-temperature fire, causing the mountain rocks to turn into sand. Lin Feng silently calculated the distance in his heart. This seems to be the location of Yang Qing's former sect, the Cloudwater Cave. Although he had never actually been to the Cloudwater Cave, Lin Feng had heard Miao Shihao and Yang Qing describe the general location of the Cloudwater Cave. Comparing it with the surrounding landscape, Lin Feng was basically sure that this was the ruins of the Cloudwater Cave. Signaling Jiayu to stop, Lin Feng landed in the middle of the mountains. He came to the Cloudwater Cave that had been burned into a white land. Sure enough, he saw a graveyard with a row of stone tablets. Lin Feng did not know any of the names of the grave owners engraved on them, but the person who set up the tombstone and left her name was Yang Qing. Seeing Yang Qing's name, Xiao Budian and Yu Hongyan were also solemn. They both knew that this was the most painful memory in Yang Qing's heart. What was even more sad was that even if Yang Qing wanted to take revenge, she did not even know who the other party was. Xiao Budian was still fine, but Yu Hongyan carefully observed the ruins of the Cloudwater Cave. Her face gradually revealed a puzzled and shocked expression. She squatted down and grabbed the white mountain rocks. The mountain rocks shattered and fell into Yu Hongyan's hands, turning into white ashes. It was not that Yu Hongyan used a lot of strength, but that these mountain rocks were originally more fragile than soil, just like a pile of fine sand. Yu Hongyan's expression instantly became incomparably ugly. Looking at the white ashes in her hands, she stared blankly without saying a word. Lin Feng looked around. The land within a radius of several dozen li was all white. He did not turn back to look at Yu Hongyan. Instead, he used his magic power to send a sound transmission to her and lightly said, "This is all caused by the Xitigarbha's true brilliance." The Xitigarbha's true brilliance was one of the 7 great true flames between heaven and earth. It was the essence of the earth fire. The flame was green in color, and the fire was vast and almost endless. Before Yu Hongyan became Lin Feng's disciple, she cultivated the Tao technique Annihilation True Fire technique. She could cultivate the Annihilation True Fire, and the Annihilation True Fire was actually a variant of the Xitigarbha's True Brilliance. Its power was not as strong as the Xitigarbha's True Brilliance, but it was easier to cultivate and control. The last time we met, Zhang Lai had already cultivated the pure Xitigarbha's True Brilliance. Yu Hongyan took a deep breath. Her emotions had already calmed down. However, her clenched fists trembled slightly, indicating that she was not calm at the moment. Lin Feng calmly said, "There may not only be one person or demon that can control the Xitigarbha's true brilliance. Calm your mind." Yu Hongyan bowed her head and said, Yes, master. Although that was what she said, Lin Feng had a vague premonition that the ill-fated relationship between Yu Hongyan and Zhang Lai might have really continued until now. As for Zhang Lai, if he had cultivated an essence soul, Lin Feng might have paid attention to him. However, if he was a cultivator in the Yuanying stage, Lin Feng really did not care much. His current strength could completely crush the Yuanying stage. More than a year ago, the last time Yu Hongyan and Kang Nanhua saw Zhang Lai, he was in the mid-stage Yuanying stage. Now, in such a short time, the possibility of Zhang Lai cultivating an essence soul was basically zero. No matter how many fortuitous encounters he had, or how powerful the time acceleration grotto heaven was, it was impossible. After all, everything had its limits. However, even if Lin Feng did not care, it did not mean that his disciples did not care. Zhang Lai, who had grasped the Ksitagarbha's true brilliance and was in the mid-stage Yuanying stage, was a real threat to Lin Feng's disciples. This was especially so for Yu Hongyan and Yang Qing, who had direct conflicts with him. With their current cultivation, they would only be sending themselves to their deaths if they went against Zhang Lai. It doesn't matter whether it was that Zhang Lai or not. What was his purpose in destroying Cloudwater Cave? Lin Feng frowned slightly. If there was no enmity in the past, then it could only be driven by benefits. Thinking of this, Lin Feng's expression gradually darkened. What could a small sect like Cloudwater Cave have that would make a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator go to war? Apart from Yang Qing's lunar true water, I really can't think of anything else. If it was really for the lunar true water, then clearly he had not achieved his goal. Lin Feng sneered in his heart. It doesn't matter who you are. Just don't provoke me. Leaving Tiny Tot and the others to stay where they were, Lin Feng wandered alone in the mountains, deep in thought. As he walked, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. Lin Feng's current divine sense could cover a very large area. He had long sensed the presence of cultivators near the Cloudwater Cave ruins. However, the other party's cultivation was not high, so he did not take it seriously. But now, someone was trying to spy on him. This made Lin Feng feel a little amused. On a mountain in the distance, in the forest, a green-clothed girl carefully poked her head out and looked at Lin Feng, who was walking in the mountains. A palm-sized golden mouse squatted on her shoulder and whispered in her ear, "Feng Ling, that person's aura is a little familiar." Oh. The green-clothed girl was stunned. How familiar? I don't feel it at all. There is not a single trace of magic power coming from this person. The golden mouse's whiskers trembled. I can't be sure, but I feel it is very familiar. I can't feel his magic power either. I just feel that I have smelled his scent somewhere before. I remember. The little mouse's ears suddenly stood up. More than a year ago, it was also in this Kunlun mountain. That endless Gang Sha. Speaking up to this point, the green-clothed girl also reacted. It's that guy. That incident was definitely unforgettable for the green-clothed girl. She was chased by the endless Gang Sha and had to flee in all directions like a rabbit. She narrowly escaped with her life. It was definitely the most painful experience in her life. The green-clothed girl stared at Lin Feng and couldn't help but gnash her teeth. So it's him. Although they were far away, the conversation between the human and the mouse fell into Lin Feng's ears. After thinking for a while, he finally remembered who the other party was. He couldn't help but laugh. Back then, when Lin Feng first came to the Kunlun mountain range and found Mount Yujing, he was blocked by the cyclic purple qi at the periphery of the mountain. In order to get rid of the obstruction, Lin Feng went to look for the mountain god Jade so that the heaven and earth mirror, which was still incomplete at that time, could produce enough central earth divine light. When he was looking for the mountain god Jade, Lin Feng vaguely felt that someone was tailing him. He even attracted 2 disciples of the wind god's sect to cause trouble. However, because the mountain god Jade was taken away and the endless Gang Sha broke out, Lin Feng left in a hurry and forgot about it. He didn't expect to meet the person who tailed him that day. Lin Feng also sighed. It was really a coincidence. So it's a cunning girl. You're quite lucky. You're only at the early stage of foundation establishment, but you could actually escape the endless gang Sha. Although the two of them knew of each other's existence back then, the strange thing was that they had never really met. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. To Lin Feng, it was already more than 10 years ago if he included the time he spent in the mysterious Sky Time Grotto. He no longer cared about it. The gap between them was too big, and he really couldn't bring himself to fight with that cunning girl. However, the green-clothed girl, Zhuge Fengling, obviously didn't think the same way. She gnashed her teeth and looked at Lin Feng. "Humph, you finally ran into my hands again. This time, I'll have my revenge." The gold-digging mouse on her shoulder exclaimed, "Fengling, don't tell me you're thinking of." Zhuge Fengling smiled slyly. "You guessed right. That's what I'm thinking." Chapter 260. Zhuge Fengling stared at Lin Feng and smiled slyly. "I don't know what level this person is at, but since even you can't see through him, he must be very powerful. At least, he's not someone I can deal with. But just because I can't deal with him doesn't mean others can't. It doesn't matter if others are also not his match. If he helps me take care of those stupid bulls, I can take the chance to get the treasure." The green-clothed girl smiled like a little fox. "Also, I don't think this person can really defeat those stupid bulls. After all, there's a demon king among them." The gold-digging rat on her shoulder said helplessly, "Fengling, I really don't think it's a good idea for you to provoke this person. I just feel that he's a bit scary." "Oh, really?" Zhuge Fengling's expression changed slightly. This gold-digging rat was both her spiritual pet and her companion. It was born with a sharp sense of danger. It wasn't spiritual perception, but a mysterious and wonderful supernatural power that was almost like foresight. It was unique to the gold-digging rat race. The gold-digging rat raised its paw and scratched its little head. "I don't know either. That feeling comes and goes, and it's very weak. But because of that, I feel uneasy. My usually useful supernatural power suddenly doesn't work as well. The more it's like this, the more I feel that person is scary. He can even hide from my supernatural power." Zhuge Fengling's expression kept changing. Finally, she made up her mind. "Maybe there's nothing wrong with your supernatural power. That person can indeed bring danger, but it's not very dangerous. No matter what, I can't take this lying down," Zhuge Fengling said indignantly. "I'll take this bet." The green-clothed girl and her spiritual pet disappeared into the forest. In the distance, Lin Feng smiled leisurely. "Looks like this girl wants to do the same thing again." He rubbed his chin and thought, taking the chance to get the treasure. TSK, I wonder what it is." Lin Feng didn't care what Zhuge Fengling wanted to do. To him, he would just deal with whatever came his way. "You want to use me as a weapon? Little girl, you're still too young." Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. "We don't know who's the treasure boy yet." Lin Feng released his spirit sense, and the range kept expanding. Soon, he found a large number of demons gathered hundreds of kilometers away. Many of these demonic beasts had already condensed their demon cores and reached the demon commander realm. There were so many of them that they should be a complete tribe. What made Lin Feng a bit surprised was that such a large group of demons actually didn't emit much demonic energy. Even Lin Feng only discovered their location after careful investigation. If Zhuge Fengling had not reminded him so that he had a specific target, he wouldn't have found them. Lin Feng carefully sensed for a bit and discovered that it's not that these demon beasts are good at hiding their aura, but there's a faint spiritual energy that neutralizes their demonic energy. That's why he almost misjudged them. "I see. These demons are doing this on purpose. They're using this to hide the traces of the demon aura and prevent others from discovering it." Lin Feng understood. "I see. These demons are doing this on purpose. They're using this to hide the traces of the demon aura and prevent others from discovering it. Lin Feng still wanted to continue investigating, but he suddenly felt a boundless and space-shaking demonic aura within the demon race reacting, revealing a hint of alertness. Is this the Demon King that the girl mentioned? Lin Feng's heart stirred. Looks like this Demon King's strength isn't weak. As soon as Lin Feng increased his probing strength, it sensed something. Lin Feng stopped going deeper, and the Demon King could no longer sense his presence. The Demon King's demon aura was clearly doubtful. It seemed to be suspecting that it had sensed wrongly. Lin Feng silently sensed the fluctuations of the demon aura. It's a little rough. Normally, senses shouldn't be so sensitive. Is it because of that treasure? Hee, it's getting more and more interesting. After a while, Lin Feng suddenly sensed a slight disturbance in the group of demons. A portion of the demon beasts left the group and charged towards Lin Feng's direction at an extremely fast speed. Lin Feng chuckled and ignored them. He continued walking slowly. Soon, a large amount of demon aura soared into the sky and approached Lin Feng. Lin Feng sensed it. This demon aura was violent, ominous, and oppressive. It was like the rolling thunder in the sky, but the clouds were dense without rain. Dong, 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 dong. Then, heavy footsteps came from afar like thunder. It sounded like hundreds and thousands of drums were being beaten at the same time. It also sounded like countless thunderbolts were exploding. Lin Feng stopped in his tracks with interest. Silently, he waited for the other party's arrival. In a short period of time, dust flew between the mountains in the distance. Lin Feng saw many smaller mountains collapse. They were actually knocked down by the other party. The originally clear and boundless sky suddenly became overcast, as if a violent storm was about to come. When Lin Feng saw the other party's true appearance, he couldn't help but be slightly surprised, but more puzzled. It was a dozen or so gigantic demonic beasts. They looked like cows, and their entire bodies were gray in color. However, there were no horns on their heads, and they only had one leg. Their bodies were shining with light, like sunlight and moonlight. Their roars were like a clap of thunder. Lin Feng looked at these demon beasts curiously. If I'm not wrong, isn't this the Kuei cow? It's said that this thing lives on the immortal mountains in the east of the sea. Why would it appear in the Kunlun Mountains in the extreme west? Although the Kuei cow could live without water, it clearly lived on the sea. Now, it appeared in the mountains inland. It was definitely a strange thing. Because of that treasure? Lin Feng was now more and more interested. However, the Kuei cows in front of him were all at the demon commander level. They clearly didn't welcome him. The Kuei cow in front with the most vigorous demon power was more than 6 meters tall. It looked down at Lin Feng and suddenly spoke in human language, "You're that woman's backer." Even though it was human language, the Kuei cow's voice was like rolling thunder. Lin Feng frowned. "I have nothing to do with the woman you mentioned." He paused and looked at the dozen Kuei cows in front of him. He smiled slightly. "However, if there are no accidents, I have the same goal as her. What exactly is the treasure that you're trying to hide with your demonic qi and spiritual qi?" Hearing Lin Feng's question, the Kuei cow demon commander was instantly furious. "You're all the same." Lightning surged from its body and fused with the sun, moon, and starlight, turning into a dazzling light that struck down at Lin Feng's head. Before it landed on Lin Feng's body, a surprised voice suddenly shouted, "It really is the Kuei cow." A cute, snow-white girl suddenly appeared in front of Lin Feng. She stared at the Kuei cow and her eyes glowed green. She opened her mouth and immediately produced a powerful suction force that swallowed all the dazzling demonic light released by the Kuei cow demon commander. The Kuei cow demon commander quivered and looked at the little girl. A pure-blooded Taotai. It was naturally the little Taotai Tunten. She giggled and said, "What are you waiting for? This thing is even more delicious than the zhu yuha and even rarer than the zhu yuha. All the hair on the one-legged ox demon commander's body stood on end, and a sense of imminent danger arose in his heart. Then, he heard the voice of a young man coming from beneath him. You only have one leg, but you're supporting such a large body. You're standing quite steadily. The little guy curiously patted the Kuei cow demon commander's single leg and said with a smile, "It's the meat on this leg that tastes the best." "How dare you!" The Kuei cow demon commander was enraged. Demonic light flickered all over his body and resonated with the thunderclouds in the sky. An extremely terrifying aura that seemed to be able to destroy everything suddenly spread from the dark and oppressive thunderclouds. The other Kuei cows behind him also released thunderous roars and activated their demonic chi to communicate with the thunderclouds in the sky. Countless bolts of lightning flickered in the thunderclouds, rising and falling one after another. In the end, they completely merged into one, illuminating the originally gloomy and dark sky until it was as bright as day. However, it was even more terrifying than the gloomy and dark sky. The little guy raised his head to look at the sky above him and chuckled. Be obedient and become food. Resistance is meaningless. With a wave of his hands, the bronze void cauldron and the earthly heaven bell hammer appeared in his hands. His left hand held the three-legged bronze cauldron, while his right raised the golden bell hammer and gently struck the small cauldron. Suddenly, a loud sound was heard, directly suppressing the tyrannical thunder in the sky. One after another, golden sound waves that could be clearly seen by the naked eye spread out like water ripples, shaking everything in the world within a radius of 100 miles. The lightning that was originally flashing in the sky was completely shattered by the golden ripples, and even the oppressive dark thunderclouds collapsed. The weather returned to the clear blue sky that stretched for tens of thousands of miles. The group of Kuei cows swayed unsteadily from the golden ripples. They turned pale with fright, knowing that they were no match for the little guy. Hence, they turned and fled one after another, wanting to leave this place. However, how could the little guy and Tunton allow the delicious food that was already in their mouths to escape? The two of them worked together and easily captured the dozen or so Kuei cows. Those that dared to resist were immediately beaten black and blue. In the distant forest, Zhuge Fengling and the gold-digging rat stared dumbstruck at this scene. Zhuge Fengling stammered, That's a dozen or so demon commander-level Kuei cows, right? They were captured alive so easily." The gold-digging rat nodded. "Yes, it's too scary. Fengling, let's go." Zhuge Fengling looked at Lin Feng in dissatisfaction. Why is his luck so good? He was about to be trampled flat by the Kuei cows, but two brats appeared and saved him. Lin Feng smiled as he walked in front of the Kuei cow demon commander. "Are you willing to answer my question now?" The Kuei cow demon commander grunted. "If not for these two brats suddenly appearing, I would have trampled you flat long ago." "Oh, is that so?" Lin Feng chuckled and turned to look at the little guy. "If you didn't come, I would have been trampled flat by him." The little guy grinned and jumped onto the Kuei cow demon commander's head, tapping its head with the tip of his foot. "Open your eyes wide and take a good look. This is my master. Who do you want to trample flat? I'll give you a chance to say it again. Who do you want to trample flat?" Chapter 261. Looking at Xiao Budian, and then looking at Lin Feng, after a while, all of the Kuei ox's eyes widened as expected, letting out a wail in unison. On the mountain, Zhuge Fengling's eyes were wide open. She was speechless. The gold-digging rat on her shoulder suddenly shrieked, "The disciple is already so cruel, what about the master? Fengling, run, run. Even if there were 100 of you or 1,000 of you, you wouldn't be able to mess with this person." Zhuge Fengling came back to her senses and nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Without saying anything, she turned and ran. Just then, a voice suddenly sounded beside their ears. "You want to leave so soon? A purple aura enveloped Zhuge Fengling and the gold-digging mouse. The two of them felt their world spin. When the scenery in front of them returned to normal, what appeared in front of them was Lin Feng with a faint smile on his face. Zhuge Fengling forced a smile on her face. Senior, is there anything I can do for you? Lin Feng looked her up and down, then his gaze fell on the gold-digging rat on her shoulder. The gold-digging rat trembled all over and said in human language, yes, senior, if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. Don't you want me to work for you? Lin Feng asked calmly. What treasure are those kueis guarding? Zhuge Fengling's body was as soft as noodles. She could not even stand properly. Only then did she realize that her conversation with the gold-digging rat had been heard by Lin Feng. This discovery made her completely lose the will to resist. It's over, it's all over, Zhuge Fengling said dejectedly. I only know that it seems to be a spirit flower or a spirit herb. Anyway, it's a plant with a lot of spirit energy. I don't know anything else. The gold-digging rat quickly nodded. We don't dare to get too close. That Kuei King is extremely sensitive. It will sense even the slightest movement. The huge difference in their cultivation allowed Lin Feng's soul sense to easily capture all of Zhuge Fengling's emotional changes and psychological fluctuations. Even without searching her soul directly, he could tell if she was lying or hiding something. Lin Feng threw Zhuge Fengling and the gold-digging rat to the side and turned to look at the kuei being subdued by little Budian and Tunten. The group of kuei ox all lowered their heads, but it wasn't to express submission, but rather to silently resist, silently stubborn. The kuei ox had a bad temper and was stubborn by nature. The kuei ox displayed this characteristic to the extreme. Even if their lives were in the hands of others, they would not yield. Lin Feng glanced at them indifferently, and said to Xiao Budian, stew or braise, you decide. I like clear stew. The little guy laughed mischievously as he stared at the group of kuei cows. His eyes emitted the radiance of a vicious wolf looking at a group of sheep. Original flavor. Other than meat, there's also soup to drink. When the stubborn kuei cows heard this, although they still lowered their heads in silence, many of them began to tremble slightly. They were not afraid of being killed, but the thought of becoming someone else's food filled their hearts with sorrow. This tragic feeling far surpassed the simple fear of death. The little guy already understood what Lin Feng meant the moment he spoke. He carefully observed the kuei ox and immediately grabbed 3 of them that were trembling the most. These 3 kuei ox were all relatively young and had only recently formed their Yao Corps and advanced to demon commanders. Given their age and cultivation speed, they could be considered geniuses among the kuei ox tribe and had an extremely bright future ahead of them. Having just formed their Yao Corps, they had unlimited potential and endless possibilities in the future. Their hearts were filled with pride and longing for the future, but it was inevitable that they feared death even more and were unwilling to die at such a young age. They still had a bright future ahead of them. Forming their Yao Corps and advancing to demon commanders was just the beginning of their exciting life journey. Their pride could give them the courage to face life and death, and they would rather die than submit. However, if they were to be eaten by the human brat in front of them after death, this was something they could not accept, and their minds were shaken. There was no need for Lin Feng to make a move. The little guy released the aura of his own magic power. It was boundless, and the unmatched aura of power directly crushed these 3 kuei ox's final mental defenses. That aura of power made it seem as if the one standing in front of them was no longer a handsome and adorable human youth with red lips and white teeth, but rather an archaic vicious beast that was even more savage and bloodthirsty than their king, as if it was going to swallow them whole. There was no need to kill the chicken to warn the monkey, and there was no need to use one of them as an example. When faced with this kind of little guy, not a single person would think that he was only joking and trying to scare them. This savage devilish brat was truly capable of doing this kind of thing, and he would not feel any psychological burden at all. He would do it out of joy. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if the little guy couldn't do it, there was a pure-blooded Tao Tai that continuously emitted green light and was just short of drooling at his side. This master liked to directly swallow people whole. Seeing this scene, the corners of Lin Feng's mouth curled up. Speaking of which, this method of extorting confessions is truly a bit savage. The mental defenses of the three little oxen completely collapsed, and like pouring out beans from a bamboo tube, they spilled everything they knew. They did not ask for their lives, and only hoped that after they died, they would not become food on the little guy's plate. Sorrow Iron Tree. When Lin Feng heard this news, he was also shocked. Not counting the unique and unknown mysterious sky treasure tree on Jade Capital Mountain, under normal circumstances, it was publicly acknowledged that there were 4 great wondrous spiritual trees in the heaven primal world. They were the ginseng fruit tree, the divine wudong tree, the mythical jade tree, and the sorrow iron tree. Strictly speaking, up until now, Lin Feng had not seen any of them. The only one he had come into contact with was the mythical jade tree spirit, but at that time, because of the battle between Long Yi and Yan Mingyue, her body was completely destroyed, and only a remnant soul was left. But thinking about it, Long Yi was able to compete with Yan Mingyue, who was a Taoist world wayfarer at that time, so her tyrannical strength could be imagined. If her capital was not strong enough, perhaps the enchantress would not have chosen her as his successor, and even taught her the strongest Tao technique of the demon race, the Book of Primordial Chaos. The spirituality of the mythical jade tree could be seen from this. It was precisely because the 4 great spiritual trees were all very spirituality, possessing endless magical uses and powerful spiritual power that they could not be seen in the human world's divine land. Because they had long been cut down by human cultivators. If one wanted to see these 4 great spiritual trees, one could only see them in the demon world's infinite wasteland vast land. The Shura iron tree and the mythical jade tree are one of the 4 great spiritual trees in the world. They naturally have their extraordinary aspects. Legend has it that the Shura iron tree is innately indestructible, impenetrable by all techniques, and extremely sturdy. Apart from a few types of nemesis, no one can damage it in the slightest. Even if it is a young sapling, its degree of toughness is not something that can be shaken or destroyed by ordinary people. The sorrow iron tree had long been extinct in the vast land of the divine land. The last sorrow iron tree here was planted in the Buddhist holy land of the Great Lain Temple in the past. It guarded the Great Lain Temple's stupa forest, and its supernatural power was astonishing. At that time, many powers joined forces to destroy Buddhism. The Shura iron tree formed the divine martial immortal extermination formation under the personal leadership of the Marquis of Xuanji, Zhu Hongguo. After a fierce battle for several days and nights, they forcefully blasted open the Great Thunder Temple's protective formation, the Vairocana formation. But such a tyrannical divine martial immortal extermination formation hit a wall in front of the Shura iron tree, and no matter how hard they tried, they could not destroy it. In the end, it was the Shushan sword sect who made a move, using one of the Shura iron tree's nemesis, and joining forces with the divine martial immortal extermination formation. Only then was the Shura iron tree broken, and thus destroyed the Great Thunder Temple's last holy land, the stupa forest where generations of eminent monks were buried. But the Shura iron tree's final counterattack directly caused the Shushan sword sect's primordial spirit almighty to fall, and the battle was extremely tragic. But after that battle, the Shura iron tree became completely extinct in the divine land. Lin Feng never would have thought that he would actually be able to encounter a sorrow iron tree here today. Although according to the Kuei cows, this Shura iron tree was only a seedling, but it still made Lin Feng's heart move. According to its rarity, perhaps it could be counted as the only seedling. How did you find this Shura iron tree seedling? Lin Feng asked. A Kuei cow shook its head. We didn't find it. That seedling was originally planted by Master, and then transplanted to this Kunlun mountain. Master? Transplanted? Lin Feng's expression did not change. Did you migrate here with others? The Kuei cow said, that's right. We originally lived in Liubo Mountain, 7,000 miles away from the East Sea. We listened to Tao Master Liubua's teachings and treated him as our master. Later, Tao Master brought the Shura iron tree to the Kunlun mountain area. We Kuei cows volunteered to follow Tao Master, and so we came here together. Since Tao Master was the title, he should be a primordial spirit almighty, but he was not well known. He must be an overseas rogue cultivator. As Lin Feng calculated in his heart, he said indifferently, Tao Master Liubua. Where is he? I'd like to pay him a visit. Master has left, and we don't know where he went. This Kuei cow clearly did not know the principle of bluffing. Instead, it was very honest and told Lin Feng everything in detail. Seeing that it was so naive, Lin Feng could not help but shake his head and laugh. He pointed with his finger, and clouds of purple gas gushed out, sweeping up everyone present and flying towards the Kuei cows in the distance. Lin Feng didn't hide his tracks either, spreading out his mana and flying like lightning towards the location of the Kuei ox herd. Just as he neared, when he was still several hundred miles away, there was a violent lightning-like demonic aura soaring into the sky from the opposite side. The demon aura was like a beacon that went straight up to the 9 heavens, turning into a huge thundercloud in the sky. In an instant, it shrouded the area within a radius of hundreds of miles. Bright white lightning flashed in the thundercloud. At the source of the demon aura, a thunderous roar came. Who are you? Lin Feng looked towards the mountains in the distance and saw hundreds of Kuei cows gathered together. Pairs of bull eyes were looking at Lin Feng. In the middle of them stood a huge Kuei cow that was even taller and larger than the surrounding mountains. The owner of the terrifying demon aura was this Kuei cow. It was the Kuei cow king who had already formed his demon infant. The Kuei cow king's expression was extremely solemn at the moment. He stared cautiously at Lin Feng in the distance, his eyes full of fear. Chapter 262. Kuei Bull King looked at Lin Feng in the sky with a serious expression. Although Lin Feng looked ordinary, Kuei Bull King didn't dare to be careless at all. Not to mention anything else, under the circumstances where the Kuei Bull King released his demonic power aura to the extreme, Lin Feng still had a calm expression, not moving in the slightest. Just this point was enough to make the Kuei Bull King as if facing a great enemy. Who are you? Kuei Bull King asked in a low voice, his voice was like muffled thunder. Lin Feng's attention wasn't on Kuei Bull King. His gaze fell on a small piece of empty space below Kuei Bull King. There was a small sapling growing there. It was only 2 to 3 meters tall. Compared to Kuei Bull King's huge body, it was as small as a toothpick. The sapling was completely black, like refined iron. A few tender leaves grew out of the thin branches, but the leaves were golden yellow and flashed with a faint light. Lin Feng nodded. Is this the Salo iron tree sapling? After carefully sensing the spiritual qi waves, Lin Feng's heart moved slightly. The spiritual qi hasn't turned into demonic qi yet. This means that this Salo iron tree hasn't turned into a demonic spirit yet. It doesn't have its own consciousness and thoughts, only the most basic plant instincts. Thinking of this, Lin Feng's mind flashed faintly, as if he thought of something, but his thoughts weren't clear enough. Forget it, I'll keep this Salo iron tree first, then slowly ponder over it. Lin Feng shook his head and temporarily threw the distracting thoughts to the back of his mind. Seeing that Lin Feng's gaze was fixed on the Salo iron tree sapling, Kuei Bull King was furious. As expected, you're also a thief who covets this wondrous tree. He didn't care about his fear of Lin Feng and directly summoned thunder clouds. A huge thunderbolt fell from the sky, blasting towards Lin Feng's head. Lin Feng didn't pay attention to him, and his gaze was still fixed on the Salo iron tree sapling. With a dragon roar, the black dragon Jiayu appeared. The black scales all over his body vibrated, and countless mysterious runes flashed. He launched the Curse Forgery Armor Divine ability, and with the refining black scales, which had an extremely strong defensive power, he blocked the thunderbolts falling from the sky. Amidst the booming sounds of explosions, Jia Yu saw the runes on his scales trembling. His heart involuntarily grew shocked. What a powerful lightning! This one-legged ox's cultivation base is at the mid-stage Yao King stage. However, Jia Feng was not afraid at all. He pounced down ferociously and fought with Kuei Niu King. Although the Kuei ox was also a primordial mutated mystical beast, it was innately inferior to the primordial sky dragon race. Even if Jia Yu were to fight him as an early-stage demon king, she would still be able to put up a fight. If Jia Yu seized the opportunity to engage in close combat and unleash the innate advantage of the Black Dragon, even the one-legged Bull King would have to avoid him. Dragon Clan? A Demon King-level dragon? Kuei Niu King's tone suddenly changed. He dodged Jia Yu's attack and looked at Lin Feng in the sky with shock and fear in his eyes. A Demon King-level dragon as a mount, and you appeared in the northern foothills of Kunlun Mountain. Are you the master of the Celestial Gate? Lin Feng's personal reputation in the northern foothills of Kunlun Mountain had reached 90 points. Even the Kuei Niu King, who hid in the mountains and rarely appeared, had heard of him. Thinking of Lin Feng's divine ability to sweep away all invading enemies in the Battle of the Sand Continent, a feeling of despair emerged from the bottom of the Kuei Niu King's heart. Just the Black Dragon Jia Yu in front of him was not an opponent he could easily defeat, let alone Lin Feng who was standing behind Jia Yu. The other Kuei Niu Kings also had the intention to attack, but they were sandwiched between Xiao Budian and Tunten, who stared at them like a tiger watching its prey. That gaze was like a pack of hunting wolves staring at a flock of sheep on the hillside. The terrifying and ferocious aura of one man and one demon deterred the Kuei Niu Kings from acting rashly. They did not even dare to make a sound, for fear of attracting the attention of these two fiends. You guys run away. The Kuei Niu King said to the crowd of clansmen, Master's kindness to us is as heavy as a mountain. Now that there is no news of him, this Sarah iron tree is the only thing he left behind. This king will not give it to others. While speaking, the Kuei Niu King suddenly took a deep breath, opened his mouth, and directly swallowed the heavy thunderclouds in the sky into his stomach. Suddenly, countless thunderous sounds rang out from his body, as if someone was beating a big drum. The sound of the drum was earth-shattering. Waves of condensed substance spread out in all directions with the Kuei Niu King as the center. The form was similar to Xiao Budian striking the bronze void cauldron with the yellow heaven bell hammer. However, the sound of the bronze void cauldron was loud and vast, while the sound of thunder emitted from the Kuei Niu King's body was muffled. However, wherever those waves passed, they swept away all obstacles, displaying an extremely powerful destructive power. Black Dragon Jia Yu's expression changed. Without even trying, he had a premonition that his anti-curse refining armor would not be able to block this divine ability of the Kuei Niu King. Lin Feng's gaze still fell on the sapling of the Sarah iron tree. He suddenly discovered that on a small branch of the sapling, there was a small stone talisman hanging. Seeing this stone talisman, Lin Feng's heart palpitated. Could it be? At this moment, the Kuei Niu King activated his divine ability, causing Jia Yu to retreat step by step. Lin Feng slightly knitted his brows. He spread his 5 fingers, and released the Heavenly Realm Barrier technique, directly cutting off the sound waves released by the Kuei Niu King. Then, Lin Feng reached out and clenched his fist. The Heavenly Realm Barrier technique changed, turning into the divine ability of the Heavenly Great Capture. The invisible giant hand formed by the power of space grabbed the mountain-like Kuei Niu King and pinched it so hard that it could not move. The Kuei Niu King's stubborn temper rose, and its whole body surged with demonic power. Countless thunderbolts exploded on the surface of its body, trying to break free from Lin Feng's grasp. However, the power of Lin Feng's heavenly great capture was too powerful. No matter how hard the Kuei Niu King tried, it could not break free. The Kuei Niu King's eyes were red, and it growled in a low voice. It was about to release its demon infant to fight to the death. At this time, Lin Feng suddenly asked, this thing, was also left by your master, Dao Lord Liubo. He pointed to the small stone talisman hanging on the sapling of the Sarah iron tree. The Kuei Nyo king was slightly stunned. Yes. Is his disappearance also related to this stone talisman? Lin Feng followed up with a question. The Kuei Nyo king gradually recovered its calmness, and said, yes, after the master left this stone talisman, he disappeared, and there was no news of him. I have checked, this stone talisman does not connect to some alternate space, and it is not the key to open some secret cave. It is ordinary in itself, and there is nothing special about it, so I have been puzzled. The Kuei Nyo king looked at Lin Feng, and asked tentatively, does the master of the celestial sect know the details of this stone talisman? Lin Feng took out an item and placed it in his palm. It was the stone flute that he had obtained from that female demon, Long Yi, and the Taishu temple, Yan Mingyue, and Peng Jia were all looking for together. Previously, according to the information obtained from Kang Nanhua, Lin Feng was basically sure that the stone flute was related to a mysterious hidden treasure, and a stairway to heaven. However, the whereabouts of the stairway were strange and could not be found, so Lin Feng put it aside for the time being. Unexpectedly, when he saw the stone talisman hanging on the sapling of the Sarah iron tree today, Lin Feng was surprised to find that the stone flute had a reaction again, resonating with the stone talisman. Now listening to the Kuei Nyo king's description, Lin Feng speculated that Dao Lord Liubo had probably also climbed the mysterious heaven stairway, but the final result was not easy to judge. Did he walk the stairway and see the elegance at the top of the heaven stairway, or was he killed by the mysterious heaven stairway? Or, he might have entered some hidden treasure through the stairs, but he was trapped inside. None of this could be confirmed at the moment. But there was no doubt that Lin Feng had a better understanding of the mysterious heaven stairway. The stone flute resonated with the stone talisman on the sapling of the Sarah iron tree, and the surface of both lit up with a white light. The stone flute gently beat on Lin Feng's palm, as if it had a life of its own, while the stone talisman hanging on the branch swayed without any wind. Seeing this, the Kuei Nyo king's eyes suddenly lit up, and his eyes were full of expectation as he looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and did not hide anything. This is a mysterious object that I accidentally obtained. It seems to be related to a hidden treasure, but I don't know the details now. If I have time in the future, maybe I will go and find out. As for your master, Dao Lord Liubo, I have never seen him. The Kuei Nyo king's expression changed continuously, from disappointment to sadness, and then gradually to calmness. Finally, as if he had made up his mind, he turned to look at the other Kuei Nyo, and his Dharma power fluctuated, as if he was communicating with his clansmen. After a while, all the Kuei Nyo king calmed down, and their expressions were firm. They nodded at the Kuei Nyo king together. The Kuei Nyo king then said, "Thank you, Master of Xian Men, for telling me the truth. I am very grateful. To be able to get some clues about the whereabouts of our master, I dare not have the thought of going too far, but I hope that the Master of Xian Men can fulfill our wish to find our master. We are willing to serve under Xianmen Tianzong, and serve Xianmen Tianzong. I only hope that when the Master of Xianmen searches for the hidden treasure in the future, he can take us with him. We have no greed or improper thoughts, and only hope that we can find our master." Lin Feng nodded slightly, and thought, these Kuei Nyo kings are loyal, and even more simple than ordinary humans. If you want to become my Xianmen Tianzongs, it's not impossible. Lin Feng said lightly, I don't need you to be loyal, and I don't care if you have the old master in your heart, but since you have become my disciple, you have to follow the rules of my sect. Can you do that? The Kuei Nyo king said respectfully, we are willing to follow your orders, master. Lin Feng thought, if I ask you to deal with Dao Master Liubo, you will definitely not do it. He glanced at the sapling of the sorrow iron tree on the ground, and said lightly, since Dao Master Liubo left it for you, you can keep it. Later, I will help you transplant it to Xianmen Tianzong's mountain gate, and you can still take care of it. The Kuei Nyo king was grateful. If Lin Feng wanted to take away the sorrow iron tree, he could do nothing about it, but now Lin Feng took the initiative to stop, which made the Kuei Nyo King feel a little embarrassed, and said, "We don't know where our master is, so we are so worried about this sapling. Now that master has extended a helping hand, we have some clues to find our master, so this sapling is naturally not so important. Such a rare treasure should be offered to the sect, and we dare not be greedy." Lin Feng smiled in his heart, and looked at the Kuei Nyo King and the hundreds of Kuei Nyo beside him, and thought, the Kuei Nyo is born with the ability to control thunder. Now I have a Demon King level Mount Spirit pet, and Tiny Tot has a source of thunder for cultivation. Plus the sapling of the sorrow iron tree, not bad, not bad, this time the harvest is quite rich. Chapter 263. With the Kuei Ox King as the leader, over 100 Kuei oxen bent their legs and bowed to Lin Feng, expressing their submission. Lin Feng waved his hand, and the dozen Kuei oxen captured by Xiao Budian and Tunten regained their freedom. Although they were controlled by Lin Feng's power, they had witnessed everything that had happened under Lin Feng's special arrangements. Now that they had regained their freedom, the dozen Kuei Ox demon commanders came behind the Kuei Ox King and bowed to Lin Feng. "There's no need for formalities. Get up," Lin Feng said indifferently. The Kuei Ox King stood up with his clansmen. Seeing that all his compatriots who had gone to cause trouble were here, and none of them had suffered any accidents, the Kuei Ox King was even more grateful to Lin Feng. None of the Kuei cows dared to act rashly, standing in front of Lin Feng in an orderly manner. Little Thing and Tunten's faces were filled with disappointment and longing, as if they were watching a duck that was about to be eaten fly away. Lin Feng naturally knew what they were thinking. He shook his head in amusement and gently patted Xiao Budian's head. "Stop looking. Although they can't eat it, they will mainly follow you in the future." Xiao Budian's eyes swiveled as he pondered. The Kuei Ox clan naturally controls lightning. Master wants them to help me cultivate. Lin Feng nodded. "That's right. But master, if I eat all the beef and absorb the lightning chi in it, my cultivation will probably be better," Xiao Budian said quietly. Lin Feng did not know whether to laugh or cry when he heard this. "Keep your gluttony in check. Master has already considered everything. Do you still remember the wind and lightning symbol seal and the wind and lightning transformation symbol formation that it activated?" Xiao Budian answered, "Of course I remember. I used it when my senior brothers and I were cultivating in the mysterious Heaven Time Cave. However, it's only effective in the foundation establishment stage and chi refinement stage. After forming the golden elixir, the effect is greatly reduced." Lin Feng smiled. "That's because a simple wind and lightning symbol seal is only the most basic form of the symbol formation. To increase its effect, other things and conditions are needed. Treasures rich in lightning and wind chi without life can make the wind and lightning transformation symbol formation more powerful, but it's not the best." Lin Feng explained, "If you want to maximize the effect of the wind-lightning transformation glyph formation, it's best to let two life forms that are respectively rich in lightning and wind spirit energy reside within the glyph formation. The two elements of wind and lightning will transform into each other, constantly stimulating each other. At the same time, the nourishment of life force is more effective than inanimate objects." The little guy suddenly understood. He looked at that group of Kuei bulls, and his gaze finally landed on the Kuei Bull King's body. "This is the lightning attribute, then what about the wind attribute? As for the Fei Yen beast on the mountain, its cultivation is too low." "Ah, I remember now." Xiao Budian rolled his big black eyes and smiled. "I heard that the Wind God's sect is used to raising Fei Yen beasts. There's even a Fei Yen king that has formed a demon infant." The master and disciple laughed at the same time. Lin Feng said, "Let's bring these Fei Yen beasts back to the mountain first. There's no need to worry about the Fei Yen king and the Wind God's sect for now." Xiao Budian stared at the group of Fei Lian beasts and frowned. Then just leave one Fei Lian king. Lin Feng shook his head, completely unable to do anything with this glutton. He snappily flicked his head. There are still other uses for keeping it. When the time comes, there will be benefits for you. Take it, look far ahead, look more at the pot, don't just look at the bowl in front of you. Xiao Budian stuck his tongue out and did not say anything. He just looked at the herd of Fei Lian beasts with a sad face and sighed. Beside him, the little Tao Tai Tuntun's big eyes were already filled with tears. He was so sad that he was about to cry. Ignoring the two foodies, Lin Feng waved his sleeve and released Zhuge Fengling and her spiritual pet, the gold-digging rat. Say. Senior. Zhuge Fengling was the same as the dozen or so one-legged ox demon generals. Even though she was wrapped up by Lin Feng's mana, she was still aware of what was happening outside. Because of this, she did not even dare to breathe loudly in front of Lin Feng. She was usually eloquent, but now she was even stuttering. Lin Feng's reputation in the northern foothills of the Kunlun mountain was like the sun in the sky. Everyone knew about him. Zhuge Fengling had been in the Kunlun mountain range for the past few days, so she naturally knew about Lin Feng and Xianmen Tianzong. She was also very familiar with their deeds. Because of this, Zhuge Fengling's vision turned black and she almost fainted when she thought about how she had caused trouble for Lin Feng and even wanted to use Lin Feng as a tool. As the saying went, one should not touch a tiger's butt. She was practically pulling a tiger's beard. My sect Master Lin, Senior Lin, Master Lin. Zhuge Fengling wailed in her heart. If you're so strong, why don't you say something? You're going to kill me. Lin Feng looked at Zhuge Fengling indifferently. Silently, he looked at her. Zhuge Fengling felt even more uneasy. The gold-digging rat on her shoulder drooped its ears listlessly as it waited with its master for Lin Feng's final verdict. I remember that someone said he was willing to work for me. Very well, I happen to have something for you to do, Lin Feng said calmly. More accurately, I need you to lead the way to a place. Zhuge Fengling heaved a sigh of relief and said emotionally, Senior, please tell me. I will do my best to do this for you. Lin Feng nodded. That's for the best. Previously, when the infinite astral baleful qi erupted in the mountains near Lingyun Peak, you were sucked into it. Now, it seems that you've escaped. I'm not interested in how you escaped, but I'm more interested in the infinite astral baleful qi. Where was the last time you came into contact with the infinite spirit qi? Lead the way. Zhuge Fengling's expression was rather relaxed at first, but as she listened, her expression gradually changed. In the end, her entire face was like a bitter gourd. Lin Feng looked at her silently. Why, is there a problem? He smiled slightly. If there's a problem, you can tell me. I've always been a reasonable person. No problem, Zhuge Fengling replied with a dry laugh, but her voice sounded as if she had bitten her tongue. Lin Feng said, as long as there's no problem. He turned to look at Xiao Budian, Yu Hongyan, Tuntun, and Jiayu. I'll give you guys a trial. Follow her to search for the infinite spirit qi for 15 days. Return on time after 15 days. As for whether or not you can obtain the infinite spirit qi, that will depend on your own luck. Xiao Budian and Yu Hongyan bowed together. We will follow Master's orders. Jiayu also replied respectfully, we will follow sect leader's orders. Only Tuntun curled its lips and mumbled, that thing isn't tasty, why do we need it? Lin Feng ignored it and looked calmly at Zhuge Fengling. Zhuge Fengling hurriedly said, this junior will follow your orders. Xiao Budian glanced at her and asked Lin Feng, Master, when we return in 15 days, what should we do with this little girl? Do we still bring her back to the mountain? Hearing this, Zhuge Fengling's forehead was instantly filled with black lines. She roared in her heart, who's a little girl, you damn child. I'm clearly much older than you, okay? You're the little boy, a little radish head, a damn child who's still wet behind the ears. She felt as if 10,000 mud-covered grassland horses were galloping across her heart, but she did not dare to make a sound. She was so depressed that she was about to suffer internal injuries. The gold-digging rat's telepathic voice sounded beside her ear. This was one of the privileges of having a blood contract with a spiritual pet. Fengling, you're crazy. We barely escaped the infinite spirit chi back then. Are we really going back now? We have to lower our heads when we're under someone else's roof. Let's bear with it for now and find a way to escape. Zhuge Fengling said hatefully in her heart, as long as we leave the master of the celestial gate, we have at least a 50% chance of escaping. As long as the master of the celestial gate is not by our side, whether or not we find the infinite spirit chi will depend on my mood. If I'm in a good mood, I'll throw them off and run. If I'm in a bad mood, I'll lure them into the eye of the infinite spirit chi and teach them a lesson to vent my anger. The gold-digging rat's ears twitched. I think we should just run. Firstly, the infinite spirit chi is too dangerous. Secondly, if something really happens to them, even if it's just a scratch, I'm afraid the master of the celestial gate will not let us go. Zhuge Fengling snorted. That damn child has it easy. Although that was what she said, Zhuge Fengling knew that with Xiao Budian's current strength and the protection of the bronze void cauldron, even if there were only a few infinite spirit chi, they might not be able to kill Xiao Budian. Moreover, Jiayu was a demon king level dragon. If something really happened, they could still escape. I haven't had much contact with that red-haired girl, but I feel that she should be the more upright type. Zhuge Fengling had already begun to plan her escape. This damn child and that little girl should be easier to fool. I just don't know if this demon dragon is smart enough. She was calculating, but she didn't know that Lin Feng had seen all of these changes in her mind. Lin Feng did not use his magic to probe her soul and read her thoughts, but just by sensing her psychological fluctuations, Lin Feng knew that this girl was constantly thinking of evil ideas. Without asking, he knew that she was thinking of how to escape. Lin Feng looked at her with amusement. If you think that Xiao Budian is easy to deal with because he's young, then you're in trouble. He said to Xiao Budian, you can decide how to deal with him in 15 days. I'll leave the decision to you. Seeing Xiao Budian and Zhuge Fengling's eyes light up at the same time, Lin Feng laughed unscrupulously in his heart. After watching Xiao Budian and the others leave, Lin Feng turned to look at the Kuei Bull King. You guys can follow me back to the mountain. The group of Kuei bulls agreed respectfully. Lin Feng waved his sleeves and rolled up the Saro Cyan tree sapling on the ground along with the soil. Although it was only a sapling, the Saro Cyan tree already had some aura. It was fixed on the ground and could not be moved easily. Lin Feng could tell at a glance that it was extraordinary, so he did not waste any time and directly cut the space with the Two Realms Void technique, sweeping the sapling away. When it grows a little bigger, it will probably be able to freeze space. Lin Feng kept the sapling, then broke through the void and flew back to Yujing Mountain with the group of Kuei bulls. As soon as he stood on the peak of Yujing Mountain, Lin Feng sensed carefully and was slightly moved. This feeling, Shaolin is about to advance to the middle stage of foundation establishment and build his beer. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.